I'll never hear that song and not picture that part from the video where it's just Dime's hair fucking going and he's just playing that riff.
Yes.
Oh, because there's so much happening here and he doesn't know what he's looking at. Like It's just his. You can't see his face, so he can't see his guitar. I don't think, but he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
And it's precision and it's like speed.
There's no line. There's no different. Like where does Dime end and the guitar start? No, no one knows.
Oh man.
And
and
I think of Phil like doing this number, like with the mic fucking tied around his head, you know?
Yeah, right.
Shit like that.
But yeah, watching Dime play that riff at that point where he's just like losing his mind, but not missing a fucking note, and it's completely precise. That was the point where I was just like, if I'm trying to sit there and play along, I'm just like throwing the guitar down and walking out of the room. It's over. It's over. You can't.
Right.
What can you do against?
Right.
Like,
it's fucking over.
You can't hope to do anything with that or against that. Like,
fuck it. Yeah.
Episode 21, recorded February 25th, 2022.
But how are you doing, and how are you feeling in un-Pantera related matters?
Not too shabby on a personal level, but on a global scale,
This is some bullshit.
feeling pretty fucking rotten the past few days.
Fuck yeah, man. I thought I was just gonna be pissed off because of Greg Abbott's like fuck trans children. bill.
That was just the beginning. That was just that morning. And then it turns out later on that evening, Putin was like, fuck this.
Did it happen on the same day?
It's me. I think so, yeah.
Oh, man.
I remember seeing it all right around the same time.
God.
Abbott.
Trans Reznor.
Trans Reznor. Abbott was like, nope, trans kids. That shit's illegal now.
Yeah.
That shit's abuse now.
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to do some reading to understand those things better. So that I can
just the thing that happened, like what he decreed, basically. You mean?
Yeah, and just to understand the transgender subject and the situation and the barriers and the barriers that they have to healthcare.
Oh, right.
And things like that, and what a piece of legislation like that actually does. And
because specifically what it is. Or as I understand it, is that he has made it to where having a child seek, or I guess having the parents seek on behalf of the child, medical attention for quote unquote like perceived gender dysphoria is now can be labeled as child abuse, essentially.
That's my understanding.
Is what it is.
And then it's also sort of like it's also this weird thing too, because I don't know that it is legally enforceable because of the language of it, in the sense that it's like, yeah, anyone can report anybody for this thing, and that's like it's like the abortion bill.
Yeah.
Right.
But I actually don't. I guess that's the one thing that I don't know is what is this piece of legislation? Is it just an executive order? Is it just
right? And I don't know. And the other thing too is that
I somehow didn't catch that part. That's a pretty important part, I think.
Like not all people who are transgender get the. I apologize if I don't use the right terms, but they don't get the. Not all people who are transgender get the gender affirmation surgery.
Right. Yeah.
And so what a bill like this does, I imagine, is it's going to just like, it's going to make it to where you as a person, a young person who identifies with a different gender than you were assigned at birth, that you can't get medical care. Like you can't go to the doctor for anything, because then someone is going to need to report you for child abuse.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Is that Abbott said we should do that. And not only did he say that, he also assigned some sort of a crazy task force to like go out and start looking for people who are in this situation.
What a wonderful use of our tax dollars.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Freedom. How's that freedom, Republicans, that you care about? How's that small government and freedom? It's not, because y'all are full of shit.
Because that's not what you really want.
Because you can't do anything for your actual voters, so you just find things that are going to make them mad.
Well, you know, the primaries are coming up, and so you
Right.
gotta pander to that shitbag base that you got going on.
So, you figured out how we really feel about things. But
so yeah, there was that the lovely 1-2 punch of that, and then Russia just saying, "Hey, what's up, Ukraine? We're gonna just show ourselves in here."
Yeah.
And then Belarus was like popping in the side door, in the sub window, and be like, "Hey, can we come too?"
Right, and again, a thing that I don't feel like I don't. All I know is that the Ukraine-Russia problem is an old problem.
It is an old problem. Because yes, they were part of the Soviet Union at one point.
Well, and even like a thousand years old problem.
Oh, sure.
I think in some sense too is just like that. You know.
Here, how about what's the ratio that you went with here?
So I did an altered ratio.
Okay.
Because what it's supposed to be, the actual recipe is 2 shots of this and 2 shots of that and a splash of Coke. But
yeah, that's not what we want.
Yeah, that's not what we're doing. So I did half, the same amount of this as I did of this.
Gotcha.
I made it a little stronger than I meant to because I think I did about half the glass full of whiskey and then about a quarter of the glass of Coke. So I'm going to be sipping on this for a minute.
Yeah, fair. But yes, like you said, that problem is a very old problem in the history of humanity since.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And the history of, in 20th century, geopolitics and whatnot. And,
yep.
And I mean, I read a book a year ago or 2 years ago called The Road to Unfreedom by this author named Timothy Snyder. A very well-researched book. And he actually speaks like Russian and Ukrainian, so he's able to use a lot of primary sources and things like that. And it was about that transition of power from when the Soviet Union ended into Putin.
Yeah.
And like how complicated that is and how much of a problem that is that they didn't have a standard for transition of leadership. And so, and he talked a lot about that. And he talked a lot about the Paul Manafort stuff and all the Trump collusion and all that sort of stuff. And he unpacked all that, but it's, I read it 2 years ago. I'm not going to try to, I don't have that stuff at my fingertips,
Right.
All I can really say is that like, this is something that Putin has been working towards for a long time. This isn't something that, he decided to do. Oh, it's not like, oh, Biden's in office, now I'm going to do this.
Right. There was no shortage of people coming out of the woodwork to say, well, if Trump was still around, we would have never had this.
It would have happened sooner.
Yeah.
And, but without like devolving into all that, into the like sort of
there's ways
the commentary about it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's now the thing that's really messing me up is that I'm like watching this war unfold on English speaking Reddit, and that's been the case. Like that's been the lead up, like the past several months of seeing people worried, Ukrainian people posting about it, and that this feels, just that sort of weird thing, and seeing like a social media platform do its social media platform stuff over images of war. And images of and
what do you mean social media platform doing its stuff? What do you mean by that?
Like, oh well, this gets all the upvotes and this gets tracked to the top, and
Mm-hmm.
and then everyone jumps on board and spends a few seconds looking at it and is like, "This is a good."
Right. I see.
Just
The way that people end up engaging with that information
yes.
is how they engage with anything else on there, pretty much.
Right. That's what I mean. That's a good way to say it.
I see.
Of engaging with like the harrowing reality of war and invasion and
Totally.
that loss of life, the same way that you engage with, like this bear's walking silly beside a bus.
Yeah. So this week has been really strange because, I stayed up really late the other night watching all that stuff unfold when they finally decide to commence the invasion. And it reminded me a lot of in 2003 when we went into Iraq. And I remember I was working at HEB overnight, and I was like sitting in the break room, eating my lunch, and we had the news on TV, and then that shit started happening, and like live footage of like tanks rolling out into the sand, and I was like, wow, this is wild. Which at that time, I think it kind of reminded me of 9/11, like watching that unfold on the news live, because that was kind of like the first big thing of our lifetimes, which was like, we're going to see this happen now as it's happening.
Yeah, Columbine kinda, but
yeah,
that was an after the fact.
Yeah, exactly.
That was we got home and there was something crazy that had happened.
Yeah, whereas I guess 9/11 kind of was the same way in that regard too.
Yeah, well, it was different. 9/11 was a little different for us because we had just graduated high school, so we didn't like experience it at school. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it wasn't like.
I guess I'm just talking about seeing a big event like that unfold live on TV.
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. But
sure.
But yeah, I know what you mean there also. But yeah, watching this reminded me a lot of like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Watching that happen with Afghanistan as well, and I just sort of sat glued to it for hours and was like, this is happening in 2022. How is this happening? Like,
yeah,
just sort of unbelievable.
Yeah.
But so this week, as this was all unfolding, and we sort of all knew, like you said earlier, we sort of knew that this was coming, and it had been public knowledge, as per our intelligence, for weeks now. It was on the New York Times alerts every day, like, our intelligence says this shit's gonna happen, so get ready for it. Americans, get out of the Ukraine, get out of Russia, if whatever you need to do. So there was this happening, and to your point a minute ago about like the way people engage with this stuff. Also this week, a video game came out.
Yeah.
It's probably like the most highly anticipated game in years for a lot of people.
Elden Ring?
Elden Ring. It's like the new Dark Souls game, basically.
Oh, that's what it is.
It's the next game from those guys.
Okay.
And it's a big fucking deal, and I've been playing it for the past few days, and it's pretty great.
Is it good?
It's pretty great so far. It kind of runs like shit at times, which is not great. So they're working on that. But either way, concurrently, there was hype building for this new game coming out, and people wanted to pay attention to it, and it's getting amazing reviews, and people are gushing, and it's like, it's the new one of these, and we're gonna be playing this for years because people play these games for years.
Right.
Like I just played through Dark Souls 3 again the other day, and I've got like 300 some odd hours in it because I've played it so many times. It's gonna be one of those, so I'm super excited about it. I've got this hype just building, and I can't wait,
motherfucker.
Yeah, right. I'm good.
I've played Dark Souls 2 for 20 minutes.
Well, that's a bad game though. Dark Souls 2 is not good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's your problem.
Are you serious?
It's fine. It's the worst one of those games in my opinion.
Okay.
Like by a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you just picked the wrong one.
Maybe so. Maybe I'll try Dark Souls.
Maybe so. You want Dark Souls? You come to me. I'll hook you up with some Dark Souls. I got some Dark Souls for you. So yeah, that was happening this week, and people were like, "Oh, it's so cool! It's finally here! It's gonna be so fun." Meanwhile, all this is also right up next to it, and you're like, "I have to pay. This is real fucked up." But that game I can preload it. I can play it, and it was just so. On some level, it's like you gotta. It almost felt like I had to. Like, I was going to pay attention to the Russia shit no matter what.
Sure.
Because you can't take your eyes off of that if you have a conscience.
Right.
So I was going to... But it almost felt like I'm going to pay attention to that. All right. And then I'm going to completely unplug and I'm just going to go over here for a while. And I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know how I feel about that. Whether I see that as healthy or whether I see that as the wrong thing to do, or
right.
Does it matter? I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of the 21st century dilemma, in a sense, is,
something I think about all the time is like there's so much more to know about now.
Right.
How can anyone stay sane?
Right. Like what is your moral or ethical obligation towards staying informed?
Yeah.
And,
right.
And where does that line hit the self-care line? And where does that hit, But then again, when a lot of people, their nature of staying informed is scrolling social media, and that's not healthy.
No. No, it is not. Doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Is not a good way to be either.
And so, but that's not really necessarily staying informed. That's
right. That's just taking input, taking stimulus
right
as it comes, and not doing anything with it, just taking more and more and more.
Right. That's not like doing the work to try to educate yourself on the issues.
Right. That's not finding information about a thing that's happening and taking it and internalizing it and rolling it around and there forming an opinion and.
Right.
And, I mean, it can be sometimes, but
yeah, it's not
by
nothing.
and large,
right? It's not nothing. Right.
It's not nothing. It's better than sticking your head in the sand or whatever.
Right. But we were so spoiled, and our parents were so spoiled growing up in the media environment that we did, where, well, all the newspapers and all the news is saying the same thing. So that's what's real, and that's what we need to pay attention to. And, and the media landscape that we're in now is just,
yeah, like not that I ever felt like I had 100% trust in the news media. Not that I ever felt like that.
And nor that anyone ever should have.
Right, exactly. But it does feel like I can look back on the 90s, maybe into the 2000s a little bit, and with like a longing for that situation of media consumption, because it's like, how do you know what to believe anymore? Like I approach every piece of news now with such like skepticism and
right. No lie.
I've worked with people who don't even bother to like look for a source on a Facebook post. Like
right.
That's so prevalent now.
Right. It's like this feels right. This feels true. So it is.
What does
true.
that even mean? Yeah.
A friend of mine got in that argument with his father-in-law. He happened to be out of town staying at his conservative father-in-law's house while the January 6th thing happened.
Oh, boy. Well, how conservative are we talking, I guess?
Very conservative.
Like rooting for that.
Oh, they're peaceful. Those are peaceful. They just killed cops. They just
see the flames.
They murdered cops with their hands. Well, like that kind of and my friend is a very, he's an audio engineer. He's the guy who helped me design this place. He's like in a lot of ways he's sort of like an embodiment of like the scientific process. Like he's very logical. And so he's like, well, why do you think okay, well, that's not true. Here's the sources why that's not true. Because you can have those long conversations when you're stuck in the same room with someone for a few days.
Right.
Right. Like you can have that.
Right.
And it devolved, into, his father-in-law, like just saying like, well, I just go with my gut.
Right.
I just go with my
gut. Get down
down
to it. Like, what do you actually...
Like, I decide what's true based on how I feel when I read it.
Which essentially means whatever I want to be true.
Yeah. Yeah,
what makes me feel better.
Whatever confirms my worldview, whatever confirms my values, that's what's true to me. And that was certainly true in the media landscape, in the 70s and whatnot, but it was in I guess a more subtle sense. It was more in the like, okay, well, we're confirming like neoliberal values, right? Or we're confirming, capitalist values in our portrayal of these things. It wasn't, so it was more related to the spin, not related to the actual, this happened or it didn't happen, or these people were doing X or these people weren't doing X.
Right. There was much less of a question of the factuality of things.
Yeah. We weren't in the post-truth era, as I've heard it called.
Because if only for the simple reason that something was extremely unlikely to get coverage at that level if it wasn't happening.
Sure.
Like, you could be reasonably fucking sure to say, oh, clearly that happened. Everyone's reporting on it.
Right.
And so there was I think you're right. We were like spoiled. Like there was an implicit truth that you could glean from that.
Right. Whereas I think kids today,
and again, not to say that it never happened.
Yeah,
surely shit got reported on that wasn't true.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that it was this. I'm not trying to say that CNN and cable news were these bastions of truth and objective and top shelf journalism. That's not what I'm not saying that at all. It's just like these things that man, there's no simple answers, and these things exist on a continuum. Like it's not as simple as like, well, things were a good then and they're a bad now.
Right.
You can't.
Exactly.
That's not it. But I think that because us and to a greater extent our parents, they grew up in a media environment where you didn't have to interrogate you didn't have to look at a source of news analytically. You didn't have to consider what is this. You didn't have to read it the way that you're supposed to read a piece of journalism, which is, or any piece of writing, any piece of nonfiction writing, which is, what is the goal of this person writing this? What are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to convince me of something? Are they trying to directly convince me? Are they trying to indirectly convince me? Are they appealing to my emotions? Are they, the things that you learn that I learned in my History 101 class, because I was fortunate to have a very good history teacher at Lee College. And so, and I also read Lies My Teacher Told Me. I read that book in high school. So
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
It's a great book. I can't think of the author right now on top of my head, but it's a great it's sort of like in the Howard Zinn tradition of like, it's like, hey, guess what? Helen Keller was an anarchist and Christopher Columbus was a fuckhead, and these are things that they don't tell you about. They use these people as pawns to, use these people as sort of caricatures to prop up these things, but they don't tell you what their lives are actually about. And I mean, that's just like the first chapter.
Gotcha.
But yeah, great book. I can't think of the author's name, but Lies My Teacher Told Me. It's been in print forever.
James W. Wikipedia. Hang on. They cut it off. James W. Lowen. That was perfect.
Of the New Brunswick Wikipedias?
The very same. Oh, good.
But we didn't have to consider that. Like, the news was the news. You didn't think that there was going to be like that kind of angle, that kind of hard angle on shit. And so, but I think that the kids growing up now are gonna, because they're seeing, I imagine they're gonna grow up with this like intense filter of not believing anything.
I guess
like any piece of news that comes across social media, like they're gonna probably be like, well, sure.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, to me, that's a huge question mark. Like, I feel like some people are gonna go that way. Some people are gonna go with like,
Well, it had the most likes. It had that was. I figured that's what was true. Why would it be getting so shared so much if it wasn't true?
Yeah, or they're just gonna keep some of their parents' biases and just be like, well, it was in print, so it must be true.
Sure, right? Yeah. Well, and I mean,
I feel like there are way more. There's way more variance to that.
Right.
Now it's only gonna get more and more complicated as time goes on.
Oh, for sure.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, and that kind of, when you do whenever you look into the research, like on conspiracy theories and stuff, there's a sort of, I don't have this stuff at my fingertips, so forgive me, but it's, like just if you hear the same thing over and over again, it confirms that idea for you. So whether that information's right or wrong, if you hear it over and over again, or you hear it from multiple sources, and then the other thing about,
or if you only listen to one source,
right,
and they say that,
or one ecosystem,
an echo chamber, literally.
But then the other thing that happens, what I heard someone say was that, like once sort of like someone's mental or information well has sort of been poisoned by the conspiracy, it's like it's too late. Like you can't just add the right information in there and then it undo it. Like there's like an antidote. There's like a resistance to it.
Right, because the problem isn't that they don't know the right thing. It's that they've somehow been made to believe this other thing. It's not that they got the wrong answer.
Right. Right. And then and when you're in that realm of conspiracism, then those things are always sort of self-fulfilling, and they're always anti-institution or anti-establishment or anti-authoritarian, and not authoritarian, they're anti-authority.
Yeah.
In a sense, so it's always like, well, the professional, the experts are going to tell you this, but I'm telling you right now that. And so whenever, that's the same thing that cult leaders do, right? Because you go to a cult and the cult says, when you walk out here, they're going to tell you I'm crazy, but I'm telling you right now, I'm the only one that's telling you the truth. Like, that's what they're going to say. And then you walk out of there and then you repeat what that guy's saying. And people go, yeah, man, that guy's crazy. And they're like, that's exactly what he said you would say. and that's like part of their rhythm, man. That's like part of their they're like 1 1 1 2 3. That's part of their jab cross hook, of how they operate. And so you can't. And now whenever sort of everyone gets to kind of like choose their own lens, what do you do about it? You can't. You just, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, it's daunting to think about.
Mm-hmm.
It is frightening.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it now, but I feel it coming. Like I feel like I'm gonna need to like say my piece about about Joe Rogan soon.
Oh boy, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it now. But some of the things I was talking about. So there is a YouTube channel called FOUR Harriet that's run by a woman named Kimberly. Can't remember her last name.
Wikipedia.
I'm Kimberly of the Baltimore Wikipedias, of the
Very
Oklahoma Wikipedias. That's where she's from Oklahoma and Texas and whatnot. But incredible, but the YouTube channel is called FOUR Harriet, and it's like a black feminist space, and she does amazing interviews, amazing stuff, and she recently put out a video about the Joe Rogan thing, and I feel like it's just extremely insightful, and sort of like the number of insights you get like per minutes is much higher.
Okay. High insights per minute.
Yeah, high insights per minute.
Okay. FOUR Harriet.
And so, but a lot of those things that I was talking about with conspiracy theories and like, oh, the well's already poisoned. I'm parroting things that I heard in her sort of takedown in that recent video that she did. But yeah, she says some great things about it. But the thing I haven't heard yet, I haven't heard someone sort of talk about their movement from, you know, Rogan super fan to fuck that guy.
Right.
Which is me, because I was a Rogan super fan, acolyte, if you will. You know, I started doing jujitsu and, you know, much like at the, you know, because of getting involved in his content, you know, and I got really into UFC and MMA and went and saw him in Austin, went and saw him in Dallas, went and saw him all over the place. You know what I mean? That was like my shit for like, from like 2010 to like 2017 ish, you know?
Right. So that's probably a whole episode there.
Man, probably. Because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, but fuck that guy. Let me be very clear. There's no Rogan apologist left in
Joe
me.
Rogan? No Rogan, motherfucker.
Rogan. Yeah, no. There's not a Rogan apologist bone left in my body. No, fuck that guy. And fuck his irresponsibility. You don't get to say like, I'm just a comedian, I don't know anything, motherfucker. I didn't mean for this to get famous, motherfucker. You're cashing those checks. Don't tell me you don't know your reach. You're cashing those checks. It costs $1 million to advertise on your show. You know this. Fuck off. Like, take responsibility for your fucking platform. You know, you goddamn asshole. Don't like get to, you know, you don't get to play like anti-vax skeptic whenever you have access to resources that other people don't have. That's the thing, right? Like, if you're young and healthy, I don't think you should get vaccinated. Well, I got COVID and I did all the things and I got monoclonal antibodies. Like the thing that you're supposed to give to people when they are dying of COVID. You know, this, you know, expensive treatment that everyone agree works. Right? Like, everyone's like, yeah, of course this works.
Right.
And that's the thing, right? If you're a millionaire and you get sick, then you might have access to that.
Yep.
But if you're just a normal 30-year-old asshole who's, you know, just wants everyone to know that he's a man, so he's not getting the vaccine, and you get sick and you get the bad roll of the dice and it affects you, then you just end up dying in my wife's ICU because they don't have any more of it.
Right.
Because assholes like Rogan used it when they didn't need it. But anyway. But yeah, like,
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Fuck that guy. Speaking of conspiracies, fuck that guy.
That sounds like a whole episode to me, or at least part of one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I want to approach it because I don't want to be like. I want to talk about I want to talk about like that, what it was like to go from a fan.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, maybe we can find some way to like massage that into a theme, perhaps.
It would have worked well with the live episodes of like, I went from a fan to fuck this guy.
Damn it! Go back. We haven't released them yet. We can go back and edit that in.
Yeah. You know, Ed and Rogan, they both have shaved heads. It's a theme.
It's
a theme.
Speaking of conspiracies.
Yeah, there it is.
You lose your hair, you become an asshole.
Man.
Oh shit! Not much time.
Yeah, not much time. So we gotta get all the compassion out of the way fast. All our compassion episodes, you know, quick, because I'm pretty soon. The second I start getting some likes, man, I'm gonna turn into Hot Take Henry over here. You know, I think Abbott has a point. You know, it's child abuse.
God, is anybody actually saying that? Someone's got to be saying that.
Well, because they haven't taken the time to educate themselves on, like, all they know about the issue is is what they're told from like Tucker Carlson or whatever. And so they think that what they think is that, you know, someone is like, oh, well, my son liked you know, he decided that he liked something that was pink, so I am immediately taking him to a doctor and having his dick cut off. Like that's their conception of what transgender is.
Right. It took me a minute to understand what direction you were coming at that from, but yeah. I see what you're saying.
Like that's why they're like, yeah, Greg Abbott's standing up for our children, you know, because that's what you know, because that's their concept of what it is. Because if you never listen to a transgender person talk about these things, that's going to be what your concept is.
Right.
When you're only listening to a talking head that's telling you controversial shit because he makes money from ads and clicks and, you know, gets more engagement whenever you're angry and you stay on his platform.
Right.
Then that's going to be your opinion of it.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have some stupid fucking thing like that.
Yeah, your conception of what transgender is or LGBTQ plus in general is just like stuck in the
right.
early 90s or whatever.
Right. Or like, fuck that. You're stuck in the goddamn 1930s is where you're stuck at, you know? Because that's like the first thing that fucking Nazis burn. Like, they'll burn all the transgender research. I'm not making that up. That's a real fucking thing.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like interesting things because like in the you know, the Weimar Republic, you know, the state of Germany before World War II broke out, you know, like Berlin was incredibly progressive and like this haven for, you know, progressive, open-minded thought and all this sort of stuff, you know. So it's not what we were led to believe that it was in our sort of, you know, the 2 days we spent on it in history class.
Right.
And whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, or like the transgender, like the bathroom bills or whatever, you know, and it's like, oh, you know, people want to dress up as women so they can go assault people in bathrooms. And it's like assaulting someone in a bathroom already happens. And it's already a crime. And you already don't care whenever women get assaulted in bathrooms.
Yeah.
But if they're assaulted by a man who dresses up as a woman, now you care?
That speaking of whole episodes. Fuck's sake. I guess what I was talking about with Abbott was just like, I can't believe anyone. I have a hard time conceiving of someone who actually listens to Abbott. But then again, he got reelected. He's like a 2-time at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I honestly don't know.
Scared he's going to be elected again.
I'm embarrassed to say that I'm, you know, but it's like, it's so weird trying to be sort of like left-leaning and politically active in Texas because it feels so futile. Because you're like, well, no matter what I fucking do,
on the one hand, it does. On the other hand, there's like tangible progress.
Sure.
The other way, which is nice. And you've got people like Beto, like actually giving a shit.
Sure.
Making an effort.
Right.
You know, to whatever amount of success, I guess we'll see. But you're right, though. Like with the shit that constantly streams out of Austin.
Right.
Not litigation wise, but like
legislation
wise. Thank you. It does feel like suffocatingly futile.
Right. And it's like, all right, let me go and I can just make sure. Let me just try to boost those, like, or when if presidential elections come out, it's like, let me go and just try to really boost that popular vote number, you know? It's so, you know.
Yeah.
Because
like the fact that Ted Cruz still has his position blows my mind.
He is the exact antithesis to what these people claim they value. Like his parents, like he's from Canada, his dad's, you know, like he's Ivy League, his parents are intellectuals, you know, it's and like he's a coward, you know. He's kind of spineless.
Oh, he's jelly all the way down.
And so, you know, I don't know. It's strange. I don't get it. But
It's just wild.
he's a total shit poster of a politician, and he makes people on the left mad. So that seems to be a big priority with the current state of right leaning politics. Is
Right.
You are as successful as much as you piss off the liberals.
Yeah. So that was gonna be my next point. Was like, I can't believe that people actually listen to Greg Abbott, but then what about all the people who voted for him and support him?
Well,
Like,
we're fucking talking about him because we're mad.
Obviously, yeah, there you
so,
go.
So, like, if
it's working.
if
You're
any-
welcome, Abbott.
Yeah, if anybody's like, oh, Pantera, I want to tune into this, and they're like, yeah, man, fuck those guys. This is exactly why I vote for Abbott again. Duh. They're so mad, and I can tell. Makes me so happy. Oh, you know. I don't fucking know.
God.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But so I feel like there's a theme, right, with all these things, right, with the shit that Abbott pulled, with what Putin's doing in Ukraine, and today, February 25th, is the 30-year anniversary of the release of a vulgar display of power. And I don't know if you can have a more vulgar display of power than
just not in the way that Pantera envisioned. I think.
not the way Pantera envisioned, I don't think. But I feel like, throwing out some haphazard, like, fuck trans children bill. I feel like it's a pretty vulgar display of power.
I think that's perhaps a more precise meaning to that.
Right? Like,
yeah.
we're not talking about just a good old socket, we're not talking about punching down. Like, Like just on someone who's like shorter than you, maybe, right? I don't know. That looks like punching up to me.
That's There's an angle to that I can get behind.
But yeah, no, and I mean, and of course the stuff that, Vladdy's pulling over there, that feels like a vulgar display of power.
Yeah.
There is something I'm seeing in regards to the Russia shit that is sort of making me happy. I don't know how pervasive it is or whatever, but just like the little reports you see of like Russian soldiers that were captured, and they're like, yeah, we didn't know we didn't know we were gonna have to kill people. We're not really down for this.
I haven't seen those reports, but I believe it. Yeah.
Or them being like, fuck this, and like leaving their take and their fucking like in their gear and just like, nah, man, we're not doing this. Or all the Russian citizens protesting, like risking arrest.
It's a pretty big protest. I mean, protesting over there is a big fucking deal.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different than it is here.
It's very different, right?
You are risking quite a bit more than.
Yeah. And so, and those things make me happy and make me hopeful in the sense that, regardless of whatever bullshit and whatever economic reasons for minerals or land or pride or whatever that are squabbles that leaders get into, if people understand, like, nah, man, I see your memes. Like, I'm not really mad at you. Like, I don't, people aren't gonna have. I don't think that we're gonna have the capacity. Like war is not going to be able to happen in the same way that it happened in the early 20th century. If the combatants themselves see them, are able, are not going to be able to be all in.
Right. Right.
Like if Russia, if like Russian soldiers are like, man, this is kind of fucked up. That's the kind of thing that like gives me hope.
Yeah.
In a sense,
Yeah.
Because
that's exactly it's the opposite of what you think of when you hear like, oh shit, they invaded. Because then you immediately picture like people who want to be
we want this land.
Right.
It's like,
or are just like mindlessly listening to the people upstairs and
right.
And,
It's like, it's not like, like I don't think Russian soldiers are like, these oligarchs are definitely going to give me a piece of this,
You're right. Yeah.
And they know that now, people, and so I don't think, I don't know that if I have to be optimistic, if I have to be hopeful about something, that's what I'm choosing to lean on. Is that we, and then also it's like it's a dialogue too, right? Like I don't think that people would be talking about this in the same way, maybe 50 years ago, or even less, in the sense that we are mad at Russian leaders right now for doing this. We're not even necessarily mad at Russian people. We're definitely not mad at Russian citizens, and we're not even really mad. I don't even feel really mad at Russian soldiers. It's like, you're told to do a fucked up thing, I mean, yeah, fuck you. Sure, fuck you. But I think that maybe on a global scale that people's perspective on it is more focused on the leaders and not on these are an immoral, dangerous people.
Yeah, I think if absolutely nothing else, that's much clearer at this point in time than it ever has been able to be in the past.
Right.
Because I think they sanctioned Putin himself today, finally, which they had sort of threatened to do, and actually did.
Nice.
So that's good.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Because fuck that guy.
I don't give a shit if you can do judo. Fuck you.
He rode that horse that one time.
Whoop-de-doo,
People
man.
sure seem to like that.
Man, dude, I know lots of people that can ride fucking horses.
Well, I can't, and I feel lesser of a man.
I feel lesser of a man because I can't dominate this animal. Man, I rode a horse when I was a child, like a fat, pudgy, like just timid child. It's not that big a deal.
I was given the opportunity to ride a horse a couple times, actually, because there was a really rich family who lived across the street from my grandparents' place in Jasper, and they had a grandkid, and they were like, if you ever want to ride horses, come on over, and you can just come have fun. And I was like, I'm scared of that. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's appropriate. Be scared of.
I don't know what that is. I'll stay away, thank you. But you know who does love to ride horses? you know who is canonically great at riding horses and cows?
The Cowboys from hell themselves. So yeah. So yeah, today's exciting. Today is going to be a lot of fun. Today we are going to...
I forgot about what this back looks like. I've been staring at this fucking cover, and I just love it so much. I always forget how stupidly, badly composited they are.
They don't, man.
Man.
There's a lot of things that Pantera does amazing. And album covers. I don't know if that's one of them.
It's, yeah. Well, this is amazing in a very specific type of way.
In a very
right?
specific way, yeah. Not necessarily a good way,
but
in a way.
They're all like a much different shade of black and white than the rest of this picture.
And I'm just mad because they're like, yeah, give Vinny a sandwich because he's the,
oh, right, because he's the fat guy, I guess.
That's doing Vinny wrong.
It's, man.
But yeah, so what we're going to do today is we're going to sort of unpack our relationship with the first two Pantera records. And it's going to be like a reflection. It's going to be a celebration. Because Pantera is maybe the most influential band on us as young people.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
And we're
for a lot of reasons, musically and just culturally.
Just the time.
These guys were from Texas,
right?
Some of them, not all of them, but yeah.
3/4, man.
Yeah.
And Phil's from Louisiana, man.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Like a Louisiana man. Come on. So yeah, we're gonna honor Pantera. We're gonna pay tribute. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're going to critique. We're going to critique some things, some musical decisions, and some on-stage decisions, and some lyrical decisions, because we have to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck you, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
I love you, Phil, but fuck you for the things you've done and the people you've empowered. We'll get to it.
You'll have yeah. Anyway,
because we got to talk about all of it because it's all important and it's all part of like the mammoth, prolific legacy that is Pantera. You can't, you know what I mean? So,
and, which is something I don't know about you, but for me, that's hard to see.
Yeah,
because we were
so
just
in it.
We were just in it. We grew up with it. It was the norm at the time. But to hear, like I watched about 3/4 of that interview that you sent me.
Yeah,
with Phil and Rex. And
so yeah, like I had no idea that we were coming up on like the 30-year
right. Yeah, I
anniversary of Vulgar, and it just so happens we're recording this on like the day, which is amazing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Fucking A.
But yeah, Revolver just put out this really cool interview of Phil and Rex, you know, talking about Vulgar.
The two surviving members of Pantera.
Right, talking about
at this point.
Vulgar.
Yeah, and so listening to that, and he was talked about a lot of things, but specifically when he started talking about, the influence that the sound of Vulgar had on music going forward, which it definitely did, and the influence of like the breakdown of this love, and things like that. And I'm just like, you're so right, but boy, did I never that never even hit me. But you're totally right.
Yeah,
because that was always just there. That is
right. Yeah. Like Pantera was the room that we walked into.
Pretty much.
So like we can't. It's hard for us to pick up the influence that it had.
Yeah.
You know, like Rex talks about Tom Morello taking him to the side and being like, "Yeah, man, this riff influenced Rage Against the Machine."
I think it was the riff for that first Audio Slave single. That's what it was. Do 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 do.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's what it was.
Totally.
He was like, we just like ripped this off from you guys, pretty much.
Yeah, and like we thought that's just what riffs were supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because we had, just because of being born in '83 and being, we were 9 when Vulgar came out, right? And so, but we missed so much of '80s traditional heavy metal. We missed Priest. We missed Iron Maiden. We missed Accept. We missed Exciter. We missed Exodus. We missed all these things.
All the X's.
Yeah. But like so much of like the quote unquote traditional heavy metal, we only got sort of these back roads in to the things that were still really popular and relevant in the 90s. Like, so still, Slayer, still Metallica, still, Anthrax a little, but not really.
I think I was a bigger fan of Anthrax than a lot of people were in the 90s.
Yeah. Megadeth also a little, but
yeah,
but still like not having. There's just no way we were going to be able to see the big picture and see what was special about Pantera and see how things were different.
Yeah.
What they changed and what they didn't change. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Because I went and listened to their album right before this one a little bit.
Their previous one before Cowboys.
Yeah.
Power Metal, was that the one?
I think that's the one, right? And it's pure Priest worship, and it's great. It's great if you have it. I'm gonna go back and dig deeper into it later. But if you have the slightest bit of appreciation for sort of just like late, like 80s traditional metal, like Priest or Accept or whatever, then you'll love it. And it's great for what it is, It's not glam. Maybe the earlier stuff is. I don't really know.
Yeah. I'll plan on going back and digging into that a bit for future.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna be talking about Pantera for like 3 or 4 episodes.
We're gonna be here a while.
He's gonna be here. Yeah, we have plenty.
Right, we've got
Black Tooth Grin.
Those need to be empty by the time we get done talking about Pantera.
By tonight? No, we're not. We're almost 40. We're not. We can't do that.
Yeah.
I have to take care of a kid tomorrow.
I've got a doctor's appointment, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. All right. So I had this idea.
Yes. Right.
This would be just as good a place as any to start, right? There's just so we're first we're gonna talk about Cowboys from Hell. We're gonna try to stay on topic.
And so this was 1990
90
straight up, and then this was 92.
correct. So my idea was that we would each pick 3 essential songs, and then also 1 track to trash. Like
Yeah.
if you had to have a track to throw in the bin, right?
Yeah.
What would it be, right? So what are your 3 essential tracks from Cowboys from Hell?
Well, here's what I say. I'll give you one, and then you give me one. and
Okay.
go back and forth.
Oh, you want to do that? All right, let's do it that way.
So my first one is Domination.
Okay. My first one is Heresy.
Okay.
I'm going in track order. I'm going.
No,
on,
this is good. This is good. You're gonna like this then.
Okay. Do you want to do all of them, or do you want to talk about reasons? Or
No, we'll just go through it.
okay.
So my second one is Art of Shredding.
My second one is Domination.
All right. Okay. My third one is Cowboys from Hell.
My third one is Art of Shredding.
All right.
So we have one difference.
Yeah.
One difference. So I picked Heresy. You picked Cowboys from Hell.
So the one I can trash is Heresy.
Whoa! Whoa! Okay, that just totally blew my mind. My trash was Message in Blood.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
I don't like that shitty 6/8 they do in the verses. There is some 7/8 in it though, which is cool. You know.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, if I had to pick one, Message in Blood. That's the one I'm throwing away.
So right off the bat, it was incredibly hard to pick anything to get rid of from this album for me.
mhm.
I really like this album in its entirety.
It's so good.
It's so good for like weird reasons, for non-Pantera reasons in some ways.
It's like a fantasy comic book come to life.
Yeah.
And it's so much. This is probably my favorite Pantera. Like this is probably the Pantera record that I enjoy listening to the most
I think it is for me too.
currently. It's aged
Currently.
surprisingly, it's aged the best for me.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever would have said it was my favorite when I was a kid because I would have been like, oh, that high singing's that's homo, you know, like or whatever.
Yeah.
But
There was something about it back then that was like it felt okay to like leave it to the side and
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they had like fucking Vulgar.
right, because that's the other thing too. Is it like I mean, it's different for you. It's different for you because, but for me, I kind of like. I got the first 3 Pantera albums like all at one time.
Okay, right.
You know, like all of it. You know, like my first real exposure to Pantera was the live footage from the Monsters of Rock concert.
Right.
Which is them playing Cowboys from Hell songs in a vulgar manner.
Right.
You know,
That was like between those albums kind of.
it was while they were recording.
that
They got
happened.
that opportunity, and so you know, like they have their dress the way they are in the vulgar photos. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Phil's got the cargo shorts and like the flannel and the shaved head, and you know what I mean? There's no remnants left of 80s metal.
Right.
It's just pure like hardcore, like thuggish metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
know.
Right.
And so, but yeah, like, so yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, it was hard to pick a song to get rid of from this album. Like,
so why Heresy? That song is like such thrashy fucking goodness,
it's
man.
just kind of the one where because I listened to this a couple times again, trying to figure out what I wanted to pick for that because I had nothing. Just thinking about it, a couple of the ones that I chose to keep was like, obviously I'm gonna pick this, and obviously I'm gonna pick this, and I had to go between a couple for that. But for the one to get rid, I was like, I like all these songs, but I guess it's just like it doesn't do a lot for me in some ways.
Interesting.
And
I wonder if it's because it's such a drumming You know, there's just so much incredible, like not just like, oh, that's fast or that's this or whatever, but there's.
I guess there's also just like and so they can lick my sack, and I was like,
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. That's not doing anything for me.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe like back in the day, I was like, haha, lick his fucking sack, dude.
Yeah.
But it's a moot point. It's a great song, like whatever.
Right, yeah, dude. I mean, I guess like I love it because you don't hear Pantera do that very much. Like it's like 180 BPMs, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and like that, dude, if anyone does that, like if anyone is doing like the thrash beat and they throw just straight double bass underneath it, you know, like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love it.
Fair.
Like I call, the super skank is what I call that beat, right? like Machine Head, right? Like clenching the fist of dissent. Like that's like a slow version of it, you know. Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you do that at any tempo.
You're in.
I am in, man.
So when I was first thinking about what song to pick for that, like when you think about this album, you think about the first half of the album and the second half of the album, or at least I do.
Pantera, the A-side kings, man.
They bring it up in that fucking interview about.
Right,
they're sitting there trying to remember what's on side 2 of Vulgar Display of Power.
Even remember.
Also, well, we'll get to that. I love that they say what's on the side 2, and I'm like, what does that fucking mean anymore?
Right,
no one says that.
Cassettes, motherfucker.
You old motherfuckers. That was funny, but yeah. So my thinking about this album, my mind immediately goes to anything after Domination to pick for this, except Art of Shredding, because that's at the end, and that's its own thing.
Sure.
But I'm like, do I pick like Medicine Man? Do I pick like, Message in Blood? Because these are kind of goofy. But then going back and like listening to them critically again, because I've heard this album so many times.
Right.
I didn't have to listen to it again, but
Yeah.
I was like, what do I want to pick for this? And just I like those songs.
There's so much. There's such good stuff to chew on.
They're so weird and goofy,
and they're also different.
Yeah.
And and like but yeah. And there's such interesting stuff in that second half of the record.
Yeah, like fucking Medicine Man, like this. Past the shores of Everdark, there stands a magic man who bears an evil mark.
Gunk.
Oh man,
it's
just.
But it's like, it's a good heavy metal song.
It is.
Like the imagery of it, you're like, this is a cool story, man.
It's like an Iron Maiden song at that point.
Yeah, it's straight up Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
It's they were put into a box.
Into a box.
It's so much fun. And
ever wonder what hell is like? He will show you it one night.
Yeah. It's so good. But yeah, and the other thing that I love about Heresy, why it had to be on there, is like the bridge, and like the cymbal work that Vinny is doing in the bridge, like that, like just the bell work.
Yeah.
And then coming out of it, the cymbal accents he does, like that, like that. It's like I've ripped off that exact thing like so many times. Like I throw like that lick in like funk tunes and shit like that, God, all the fucking time, man.
If it works.
And it's so good.
That is something that in these songs I will not pick up on nearly as much as you have. It's like the drumming accents.
Sure.
I just won't.
Sure.
So,
yeah. And I think that,
but
like,
I know they're there.
I think that, yeah, man. Like, there's just so many like Vinnyisms in Heresy that it's like that was gonna be on there for me.
Fair.
All right. So
I actually was having a tough time. So when picking the 3 songs that I like, the essential tracks, the ones I knew had to be on there right immediately were Cowboys from Hell and Art of Shredding.
Yeah.
Those were the 2 I was like, there's no way these aren't on there.
Sure.
And then for the third one, I was trying to pick between Domination and Primal Concrete Sledge.
I knew Primal would be there for you.
Because man, that's
That's king shit weird song, man.
2 minutes and 14 seconds of just like the most badass shit you can imagine.
Is there like another song? Is there another song? I'm willing to put my neck out here. I don't think there's another metal song where you hear that many drum hits in the first, minute, 2 minutes, and none of them are a snare.
Yeah.
Because you don't hear that snare until the crack.
Just toms and bass.
Just like, yeah, man. Just like, he's doing that shit on the upbeat on the hi-hat. It's so weird. It's king shit weird.
Everything
song.
about that is so fucking weird.
That is something that is, I think, really special about this record is the fucking weirdness of the first 3 tracks. Because as amazing as a song as Cowboys from Hell is, it's goddamn weird.
It's really weird.
And there's no other song, I don't think there's ever been a song like it before or since.
Yeah.
Because there's this weird kind of swagger to it that no one else can get away with. Like no one else could we're taking over this town. Like no one else.
No. So in the interview, they bring up ZZ Top.
Uh-huh.
And yes, I knew ZZ Top was a fucking influence on Pantera. You've always known that.
Yeah, right.
They've said as much.
No one even needed to say it. You just knew it, right?
Right. But you listen to stuff like Cowboys from Hell, and it's like, of course they are. There it is.
Right. Like in Psycho Holiday too.
Psycho Holiday as well.
The shuffle there, that's kind like they're doing right, but the like
yeah.
That is more of a Texas shuffle. What they're doing there than it is like a traditional shuffle. Like it's like the it's real tight.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like it's closer to sort of instead of like a triplet, right? Like right, that's more of your traditional shuffle. It's
kind of dragging a little bit.
Depending on your reference, but it's more of like a
Or it could
dotted
be a
eighth
head the other
note.
way.
It's more closer to like a dotted eighth note and a 16th than it is, like a triplet eighth note.
Okay.
And that's like a Texas shuffle.
Gotcha.
Right, as opposed to like a normal shuffle, whereas like you hear like Van Halen do that shit, and it's closer to like a like a big band.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's real subtle. I'm talking about like
It's a feel thing.
Yeah.
You're
Right. But I mean, it's sort of like a little, because you hear like it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna hear Vinny like show me his grid for a fucking few minutes here with the, you know what I mean? And so you can like hear exactly where he's putting that, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like where they're putting that and then they go, right? Those are just real triplets. The subdivision of the doesn't fit
right
with the right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So just as sort of like an example that the way they're subdividing the groove is closer to like a Texas shuffle, but the way they're approaching like the regular triplets is just
triplets.
Just regular triplets, Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so the ZZ Top influence. It's just but like the first 3 tracks on this record are so goddamn weird.
Yeah.
A Primal Concrete Sledge is like one of the weirdest fucking metal songs ever fucking recorded.
It's very strange.
Psycho Holiday is like a it's like Van Halen and ZZ Top and fucking Texas metal. Like I guess. It's this weird thing, and no other band could make that sound good except for Pantera. No other band can make that sound heavy.
Yeah.
Like it's such a,
and then this weird solo that fucking comes out of nowhere and then shifts into a minor key immediately for some reason.
Right.
And then, oh man,
it's so good. It's so weird. But yeah. So why? So okay. Here's like sort of another sort of thing that I think is interesting. Just in general. Right. So like just general criteria / context I think you can judge albums by. Okay. I was just sort of thinking about that, right? And so sort of like some things that I came up with are like the production, right? And so when I've talked to like more than one person, especially people who are a little older than us, people who are like closer to 50, I guess, and they have very specific memories of hearing this album for the first time. So the production of this fucking destroyed everything else.
Right.
At the time.
Right.
You know, we hear the production, you know, like we heard this at the same time we're hearing like Vulgar and like Far Beyond Driven and like, you know, Machine Head Burn My Eyes. And like we were already sort of inundated in like what would become the modern metal sound.
I heard this a bit earlier.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because you had like cool uncles and shit.
I had a cool situation a little bit. But nonetheless, there was other stuff at the time that was also very well produced. And so I wasn't coming directly out of that 80s metal scene into this
right
in 1990.
Right. And I think a big like thing that I don't know that everyone knows is that like fucking Vince and Daryl's dad was a musician and had like a studio.
Yeah, that was like how they got into music.
Right.
Essentially playing music.
And like Vinny was a studio whiz. You know, like he knew he was extremely good at like EQing and the engineering side of it.
Right.
And like he knew his way in he knew his way around a studio. And knowing your way around a studio in fucking 1990 is a lot different than knowing your way around than being able to like get some good fucking sounds.
Right.
In fucking 2020 here.
Yeah. Or like the past 15 years or so.
Right. Like knowing your way around that is so, and I don't think that's necessarily common knowledge, you know, because you don't think of like, because you know, like it's so, especially with like what we see of him, you know, it's easy to kind of think of like, oh, you know, what you see and what you know is what you who to be. And
I mean, when you hear that quote, you're like, all right, just get back behind the fucking drums, dude.
Yeah,
shut up
the fuck up. So like, you're not gonna think of like, all right, this guy is fucking like a brilliant engineer, a brilliant producer,
right,
and brilliant on the fucking EQ of the drums. But he was, and that's why this set the standard for like the next like. I mean, goddamn, these drums still sound amazing.
Yeah,
like it was like, it's like drums have to sound this good now.
Yeah.
If you're going to even pretend that you're making a metal record, you got to have drums that sound this good.
I can't imagine being a metal fan in 1990 and having been listening to it for years and then hearing this come out. Like what that was like.
Right. Because it was almost like they took like sort of like the clarity and the tightness that you were hearing, I guess, like from I guess like what a lot of the hair metal bands were going for in a sense, you know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really into hair metal, but I was into a lot of Ozzy. I know all of Ozzy's catalog very well, and so you know, like No Rest for the Wicked, and that like just super upfront, clear guitar tone, like that Zakk Wylde was doing in like '88 or whatever.
Right. I think that's a bit of a special case in that case because Ozzy himself and his guitarist were known for like they want that amazing sound.
Sure.
So that makes sense there. But like I think hair metal, you know, derogatory term, I guess, but like, I think a lot of that stuff tended to be more bluesy also.
Sure.
And sort of like loose and like party metal in a way. So maybe it didn't really go for that.
Well,
but there were some bands who did have like super solid sounds.
Well, and what I'm getting at is that, but like Pantera took like a thrash metal vocabulary and did it with that kind of clarity of production.
Yeah.
And not just a thrash metal vocabulary, but a thrash metal and a traditional metal vocabulary, and did it with that level of clarity.
Right.
You know, whereas, like, I mean, I love Ozzy's records, and I love No Rest for the Wicked. That's one of my favorite, you know, records, but it's, you know, there's a lot of room on the drums in between those notes. You know what I mean? And those aren't the most complicated songs. It's just incredible guitar playing, incredible songwriting. but a lot of, you know what I mean? It's a lot of like, you know, and so I guess that kind of like brings up like another thing. Like I think that's like a good litmus to look at through a record, and that's songwriting. Mm-hmm. And songwriting on this is just in another fucking stratosphere.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere, all right.
It's past the shores of Everdark.
Oh man.
Have you listened to the demos?
The demos.
Yeah. So when they did the big remaster,
like the re-release.
Yeah.
I haven't actually.
Dude, highly recommend it. If they would have just released those demos, we would still be talking about this record.
Okay.
Like it wouldn't be as big. It wouldn't have been as, you know, wouldn't have made as huge of an impact, but it still would have been a really, really important record because 90% of the songwriting is there and the performances are there.
It's just a matter of production at that point.
Yeah, and there's not
Okay.
even a lot missing. Like it's 90% there. It is really interesting to look at like the things that were different songwriting wise and the few little things that were different riff wise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there are some differences for sure, but overall, it's the fucking picture. You know, like, but
That's not surprising. At one point in that interview, they talk about how the interview with Phil and Rex. They talk about what the fuck are they talking about? I think they're talking about This Love, the guitar intro, and Phil just sort of offhandedly mentions like, this is probably something Dime had rolling around for like decades or some shit.
right.
And that's another thing about Dimebag that I don't know if a lot of people really appreciate is like how much shit he wrote forever
And just held on to.
and just had to pull out at any given time, because like there's shit that are on these albums that you can listen to a decade earlier and they're right there.
I can tell you the first time that I'll tell the full story at another time. But I went to his memorial.
Right.
Me and Jeremy went up there, and they showed a lot of like old footage,
Yeah.
right? And there's footage of him like in the fucking mid 80s, like being a fucking like baby face fucking teenager, doing his solo spot during their set, like Eddie Van Halen, like I'm just gonna go play guitar by
Right.
myself for fucking 10
So in the
minutes.
spotlight. Yeah.
Right? And he played the outro of Floods
Yeah.
as part of it. And that,
Just like a full decade and a half or whatever before.
for me and Jeremy, that was like a religious experience of understanding that Dime, he had this brilliant piece of music that he held on to, waiting for the right song to put
Right.
it into.
Exactly.
And it was like, oh my fucking God.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Like ugh.
So that's like why I bring that up, is because
Phil knew. Phil's like, whatever, man.
yeah.
How long you had that Dime?
Yeah, right,
You
right,
know?
right. Could have brought that shit out. Like, so, like, Dime was just one of those dudes, like one of those creative people who just had this shit constantly, just churning it out. But he was able to understand that there was like a time and a place for it, and that
Right.
it didn't need to be happening here just because he had it and it was good.
Right.
But here, 10 years later, here it is.
I think
And so I think that all of these albums were that from him, to a certain extent.
mm-hmm.
Like the reason that so much of this shit is so incredible, I think, is because of I think that's probably a pretty big reason for it. Just because he had this catalog of shit, he had this deep well of shit to pull
Right.
from.
Right. I think that's him being on that Van Halen shit, you know, or that Van Halen approach, where.
Is that a known? Or go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, what I mean is that Eddie Van Halen is this, you know, like prodigious, changes the perception of the instrument. Now you have to now you can play this thing fucking differently, but he's working in the medium of like a pop rock band.
Right.
And so whatever genius shit that he's doing, he's finding ways to make it work in a way that the average fucking person who just wants to go to a concert and have a good fucking time, that it reaches in and gets them too.
Right. He's making it palatable, making it more accessible.
Right.
Or as accessible as possible.
Right. Like it gets the musician, like, yeah, sure. It gets the musicians excited, sure. But you don't have to be a musician to fucking, for like Dime to get in there and like fuck with your soul with his fucking guitar playing.
Right.
And that's what's so, and I think he was coming from that school. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying.
I think you're right. Like a lot of
like it wasn't enough to just like Yngwie melt faces.
Right.
Like
there's so much shit on their first 4 albums specifically that is just like absolute genius guitar playing and songwriting to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
But like other bands have had moments like that, but it's like a moment. Whereas these are albums worth of this shit.
It's just
wow. And I think you're right. But I think because it wasn't like we happened upon this amazing thing and we're gonna put it on this album. It's like he had all this shit that he just knew he had to do something with and just found the right things to do with it.
Right. Yeah.
For a lot of it, I think.
Right. And it's just
that's why there's so much of it on these albums.
Right. It's like this like symbiotic relationship he had with his guitar,
Yeah.
And so that sort of like leads into another sort of, I feel like, criteria, right? Which is like the performances, right? Like, because you can have a really sort of simple, straightforward song, sure, right? But maybe there's just a really amazing performance, a really amazing interpretation of it. Like I think of the Tom Petty record, Wildflowers.
How did I know you were going to talk about
Because it's like one of the only records I talk about. But all those songs are very straightforward, but the performances, especially the drummer, Steve Ferrone, are just... I'm speechless. Like the drumming on that album makes me speechless.
And you're talking about the performance on the recorded studio album.
Yes. Yeah. So
just to be clear.
Yeah. So it's not just like here's the song, here's the riff, right? But how does the drummer, the bassist, the whoever like interpret that song, right? Mm-hmm. Like what's the rest? Like what are all the tiny performance gestures, that go in, the sum of subtleties that go into making the recorded performance.
Right.
Basically 90% of what jazz is, right? And like, so the performances, because there's sort of, like there's records that I think of that are not necessarily performance dependent, where like the song is very like, this is the song. Like I think of like Dimmu Borgir is kind of like a band like that. I think of in that sense where, you sort of have like this classical influence in a way, and like you kind of get the feeling that like, all right, every single note was planned. Like there's not like, and so it's about executing that composition.
Okay. Right.
Even Rush to a certain extent, you could say, like, it's about executing that composition. It's not about sort of like this interpretation and this like, damn, you caught some you captured some shit on tape right there. It's not about that, right?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
That's sort of the delineation I'm trying to make, right?
I got you.
Right. And I think that it is indisputable that Pantera always captured amazing fucking performances. Performances that made us as a young band say, fuck it, we are not playing slow. We are not even going to try to groove because we cannot sound like that. We don't know how to sound like that, so fuck even trying.
Yeah, like the shit that they play on this album specifically, is just like there's such groove and feel, and like they're so like in the pocket constantly. There's such swagger to all of this shit.
Right.
It's just like so effortlessly done that you can't like.
Especially on this record, I think that's all Rex.
It may well be,
because especially on Cowboys from Hell, man, because you hear the bass so well on this record, and you can really hear that the bass is not playing exactly what the guitar is playing, like that the bass is really.
Dude, he talks about that in the interview.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
Me too. Like,
because I'd already done my listening homework before I fucking come across that interview, right? And so to hear that he said in that interview that I like to do my bass last so that I could fill in all the gaps. And I was like, you fucking ain't right, you bad son of a bitch.
Right. And he did a damn good job of it, too.
So I feel like it doesn't come through as much on Vulgar because the guitar tone is just so huge on there, I guess.
It's huge and fatter than it is on Cowboys, yeah, for sure.
But Rex really shines on Cowboys from Hell, and it is a fucking masterclass on how you play like modern metal bass and sometimes play with the drummer, sometimes play with the guitarist. Dude, that's the secret weapon of fucking Pantera, man. Because if you don't have some middle ground between the genius of Dime and the genius of Vince, you don't have anything, man. You don't have anything, dude.
That's true. Like, on some level, like Rex is like sort of the ultimate glue guy in a band like this.
Dude, he's indispensable,
man. Because I'm thinking about the Psycho Holiday solo was
so good.
It's perfect for that. It's so good. And there are so many moments like that on that album.
So many, man.
Oh,
it is
man,
like, dude, fucking worship at the feet. That is like the bass playing of Rex Brown on this fucking record.
Yeah. Fair.
So yeah, and then so like another thing is like the technicality, right? So there's a lot of shit on this album that's just ain't like a feel aside. Songwriting aside, there's shit that's just fucking hard to play.
There's a lot of difficult shit on this album. Like, it is not fucking around.
I remember Cowboys from Hell specifically being like in 7th grade history class, Coach Wilson's fucking Hicks history class, and like sitting there like tapping out, right? That note right there, right? Because that's like one of your first. As a drummer, one of your first coordination hiccups, right? Like day 2, right? Of, all right, I can do bass, because when you start off playing drums, man, it's all about that right hand and, your hi-hat. And so you get to where you're like, well, I can play the bass drum and with my right hand, and like, it's all a slave to the right.
Right.
It's all a slave to the right hand, but you can't do shit in between.
You're having to concentrate on every little thing that you're doing. You don't have time to do anything else.
Right. So like you're just gonna like throw a bass drum in between your hi-hat hits, and there's just gonna be nothing but air. That bass drum just by it fucking itself. Oh my god! And so Cowboys from Hell was like the first beat where you had to figure that out, because that right there on the 4E,
Yeah.
Right. So. Snare and hat together, bass by itself, hat by itself, right? And I remember like just drilling that shit and like, like in history fucking class when I'm fucking in 7th grade, like,
Putin, what the hell are you doing over there?
Yeah, I got in trouble a lot for tapping.
I mean that. Like, I can play the whole song reasonably well on guitar, but that main riff is really hard to play for the entirety of that song.
Interesting, right?
Because you're tapping, the riff is like open 3, open 3, open 3, 1 3, open 3, so and it's really hard on your fingers because there's you're doing a lot of the hammer-ons on the lowest part of the neck.
Yeah. So you got a big spread there.
Yeah,
right.
And it's harder to push that string down than it is.
Is it like what 5-7-5 or some shit too there too?
There's a slide up, yeah.
Slide up or 7-8 or something.
3-5-3.
3-5-3. Okay. Because
or you can do it on the second and third strings. as well, which I think is what I normally do. Or I don't remember now at this point. But
Right.
Either way, that's a difficult song to play all the way through, like
Right.
just physically to do that.
That was like one of the first riffs I learned on guitar, and I was like,
really?
fuck this instrument.
Well, fair enough, honestly, because that is a fucking weird one. I've never played another song that feels like that song. And I guess
Right.
that's to your point earlier. Like the feel of that song is just so strange.
Right, and that's just another like testament to like how fucking like just what an outlier Dime is. That it's like, no man, I can play this weird ass fucking riff and I can make it feel great the whole goddamn time.
Yep, I can make it groove and feel amazing, and it feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dude never played anything that didn't feel fucking right.
Yeah.
Nothing I've seen, at least. And there's also, just from a drumming standpoint, there is like so much intricate shit on this record. That is really outside of a lot of the metal drumming vocabulary. Like it's still like Vinny threw all this shit out here in fucking 1990, and people picked up like half of it. Like his ride cymbal work, like that sort of stuff. The way that he phrases triplets with the bass drum, like that sort of stuff. I mean, lots of people pick that shit up, but no one was doing stuff that just. And that's the thing too, is like everything he plays just sounds so good. It's just, you know what I mean? Like it's because people play hard shit on the drums all the fucking time, man. But his is like, oh man, well, if you're gonna play this song, you have to play that. And it's just so next level. And then, or like. Songs like Shattered, right? Like that tempo of double bass is really hard to do. And that's also like another really tricky coordination thing, because you're doing like sextuplets or like fast triplets with the feet, and you're doing 8th notes up top. So you're having to hit like right, left, right, left, right, left, right,
Right.
So, it's like it's tricky. And all of this, he does it in such a just precise way, where if you're going to attempt to play it, you have to nail every single note, which was so different than where you were hearing a lot of this style of drumming in, like maybe like death metal at the time, like maybe in Morbid Angel or stuff like that, where you're hearing, like, or even thrash metal. You can fudge a lot in a, like a breakneck thrash metal song.
Right. You've got to be on your shit in this one.
You gotta play this shit exactly the way that Vinny played it, or it ain't gonna feel right.
Well, that was another thing in that interview. Like Rex made it a point to say, one of the things they focused on constantly was getting tight as they possibly could.
It fucking showed.
And it showed. It absolutely showed.
It fucking showed, man. So, and I imagine, I don't really know. Maybe you can speak this a little bit, but. I would imagine that this record did similar to the guitar community, what like Van Halen's first record did, of like everyone is just like, oh fuck,
yeah,
who is this goddamn guy?
Yeah, I mean, you've got like right off the bat from the Cowboys from Hell, like riff, and then the solo, and then you go into like later you get Cemetery Gates. That solo is iconic,
right?
And then you've got this huge clean riff, this arpeggiated riff at the beginning. It's just like beautiful on this metal album.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? And the riff in Domination is such a weird riff. It's these weird little like these like whiplash drags back and forth.
Yeah.
And back and forth. It's such a weird. It's really hard to play well.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the shit on this album is hard to play well.
And that's the thing, right? That's the thing about it, right? Like,
because you can like figure out what it is that they're doing, but then to execute on it is a whole other story.
Right. Like. I might venture into some troubled waters here.
Okay.
But I would say that it's relatively easy Okay. Because what you hit the nail on the head when it comes to playing Pantera music is that it's really difficult. It's not necessarily really difficult to play it, but it's really difficult to play it well.
Yeah.
And whereas, like, say, Slayer, it's really difficult to play, period. But if you can play it at all, you're kind of there, right? If you can play that fast, then you're playing it. Then just fucking pedal to the metal and attitude it out, and you got the Slayer thing, right?
Exactly. So it goes back to the tightness that they strive for, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's because they go for such a high standard on that sort of thing, it comes across as being this, like, almost unreachable level of tightness, of, like, precision.
Right.
Whereas Slayer, they're just not always that precise. Like, it's fast and it's aggressive and it's technical. It's highly technical a lot of times.
Right.
But it's just not always that tight.
Right.
You can fudge it if in your playing and be okay with it, because that's kind of what they sound like.
Right. And like with their guitar tone and the tempos they play at.
Yeah.
Like you can fudge a lot of things when you're playing, like 200 to 210,
Right.
Yeah,
it's okay, but if you're trying to sound like Cowboys from Hell, it's just gonna be way fucking harder.
Right, because his riffs are so syncopated too, right? He doesn't play like that's not how fucking,
There's maybe no tremolo picking on this album, I don't think.
There's maybe no tremolo picking
Maybe,
ever.
maybe in their catalog, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But there's like so much space, like you're talking about, like with like domination, right? So here's like a good contrast, right? And we both love Machine Head. But just as like a contrast of songs that are around the same tempo, which is Killers and Kings and Domination. Those are songs that are very close to the same tempo.
What? I'm not...
Around 140.
Okay. What album is that on?
That's on... that's on Bloodstone and Diamonds.
Ah, okay. That's why I don't really know it. I just haven't listened to that very much.
Yeah, great album.
Okay.
Great album.
Cool.
I will... You'll remember it. Sorry, I'm just getting used to using Tidal. See the above mentioned Rogan rant. Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but like that's so different than. And so like there's a lot more syncopation and there's a lot more space.
Right.
Right.
So that Machine Head riff is very like...
Yeah.
Whereas the Diamond's playing, when he's doing those drags, he's letting it hang for a second. He's like, it's like literally dragging, like bam, bam.
Right.
It's a whole feel thing there.
Right.
But
And
it gives it so much more character.
Right. When there's space, then there's room for sort of interpretation. There's room for a rub. Right. And whenever you fill in all the notes, you can't have a rub in there, right?
Right.
And like the rub is where all the character is.
The rub is, yeah.
The rub-a-dub-dub, and shit like that. Yeah. Yeah.
But but in the same song, going from like a feel riff like that to that outro solo where it's just and just constant for like 30 seconds and just going, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And then there's like that tight outro riff. Just
yeah, man. Yeah, that the energy in that song. That's why I was like, fuck,
Yeah, that I mean, I guess that song and The Art of Shredding, like I picked those two songs for kind of the same reason. Like there's just so much to those songs.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much happening at any given point, and they go to so many different places, and they're all fucking amazing.
Right.
Because goddamn, that Art of Shredding, that intro riff, and the drum. It's just weird fucking...
Yeah.
But then he busts into that. Yeah.
I
That
didn't
riff
really
is so good, man.
I didn't really get how good that song was until I watched the live version on the on the like videos from hell. You know what I mean? Which we're gonna do a whole episode where we talk about just the fucking home videos. So
I'll never hear that song and not picture that part from the video where it's just Dime's hair fucking going and he's just playing that riff.
Yes.
Oh, because there's so much happening here and he doesn't know what he's looking at. Like, It's just his. You can't see his face, so he can't see his guitar. I don't think, but he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
And it's precision and it's like speed.
There's no line. There's no different. Like, where does Dime end and the guitar start? No, no one knows.
Oh man.
And
and
I think of Phil like doing this number, like with the mic fucking tied around his head, you know?
Yeah, right.
Shit like that.
But yeah, watching Dime play that riff at that point where he's just like losing his mind, but not missing a fucking note, and it's completely precise. That was the point where I was just like, if I'm trying to sit there and play along, I'm just like throwing the guitar down and walking out of the room. It's over. It's over. You can't.
Right.
What can you do against? Like,
it's fucking over.
You can't hope to do anything with that or against that. Like,
fuck it. Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So.
All right, cool. The other sort of like, litmuses are sort of like the lyrics.
Right.
Which I thought that was really interesting. Did you hear that part in that video where Rex talked about that Vulgar was like the first time that Dime wasn't really involved in the lyrics.
Yeah.
And I was
like
that
let Phil
makes
out into his thing.
A lot of sense.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to talk about more when we get to the fucking Vulgar, when we talk about Vulgar. But yeah, like the lyrics on this are like really, a lot of it's like really fantastical, or there's like stories or whatever. And it's just primo fucking metal lyrics.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Even with something like Cowboys from Hell, where it is still that like Pantera, like, it still feels like a Pantera song as you might think of one, but it's still this like fantastical story in a way.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Here we come. Reach for your gun. You better listen to what my friend. You see, it's been slow down below. See,
Like there are these.
we're down below. We're from below.
What the fuck is this?
Oh, dude, because this is my OG shit, right? Like you can tell because I have RKW written on here because it's like don't steal my shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, the actual CD is scratched to fuck.
Okay, right.
So I had to like burn it from somewhere.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, but even the song that feels like the most Pantera of a Pantera song on this album is still like a story sort of thing.
I never realized that's what the lyric pillage the village, trash the scene. I didn't know that was saying pillage.
Maybe
the village.
I didn't either. I don't remember it. Okay.
But better not take it out on me, because a ghost town is found where your city used to be. Out of the darkness. That's the other thing cool, right? Like when they do that live, when they get to that out of the darkness and like that, they like, yeah, like fucking hit that China and shit, fucking drive that shit home.
Yeah.
For my double barrel 12 gauge. Yeah, it gives me joy. Just like looking at the fucking lyrics, man.
But the songs on here like paint this like picture of a place and a thing and something that happened or
yeah.
Some more explicitly than others. But this is kind of the only album that really does that.
Well, and like Phil, this is the thing like I'm gonna talk about later. Is like I don't think Phil writes bad lyrics. Right, I think he writes very good lyrics.
No, I mean, we'll get to it, but I think going through Vulgar's lyrics, I never really had that much before. I was kind of impressed in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But like, like come and be with me, live my twisted dream, pro-devoted pledge, time for primal concrete sledge. You know what I mean? Like he uses like great imagery.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And there's
he's able to pick good words. God, how to say this? He's able to pick the right words for a song lyric to work.
Yeah.
But still get it, like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like he doesn't try to squeeze too much in there. He's able to find the right things that fit well.
That's a good way to put it. And he like puts the sort of the emotional meaning
exactly
paramount. He's like the Anthony Kiedis of fucking metal. Where it's a lot of word salad. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. Like, I saw someone describe Anthony Kiedis' lyrics as like, it sounds like he just wrote them out on the fucking like restaurant napkin and then just never
went beyond that.
Yeah, like never edited them, never figured out what was actually pouring out of his brain. Like, it just stayed in that raw, abstract stream of consciousness.
I can see that.
Like, and Phil is kind of like that because,
yeah,
a lot of times you don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
We'll get to that, yeah.
But it feels a certain way, and I think it feels the way that he wants you to feel.
Right. Yeah, that's a weird like dichotomy because he's got this, like I said, he's got this really good sense of picking words that fit well into lyrics that sound good over a song.
Yeah.
But they still get that emotional point. But you don't necessarily know what the fuck he's talking about at all times.
Right. But there is a feeling there.
Yeah, it's almost like he's a weird idiot savant in that way. Like, he's just really good at doing this thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not a good lyricist per se, but he's great at what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that he is a great lyricist because I think that that's part of what being a great lyricist is.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
Because like being a great lyricist, I think is about painting pictures with words more so than it is, like literal poetry or literal, like, this is what I'm talking about and you know it.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, that's nice when that happens.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
But no, I think like that's why it makes some of the things that are problematic on Vulgar that much more problematic.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But yeah, man, like, but these, and the delivery, like just the writing and the phrasing of the vocals and the lyrics on this record are just so fucking good. It's just so incredible. Yeah, I can't say like enough. I mean, there's a reason that they're the fucking legends that they are. You can't. Yeah. So,
man, I was fuck. What am I trying to say? The vocal reaction video channel that I watched. Charismatic Voice.
Yeah.
She did an episode on Cemetery Gates.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't really thought about it in a long time, but those screams that he does at the end that match up with the squeals, those are insane.
Yeah.
Those are so high and so like precise. It's wild.
Right. It makes me wonder what caused that to go away. Was it him?
It had to have been just like his voice changed, I think.
Well, or just was it an intentional, like, of him trying to do the harsher stuff and being influenced by the more hardcore music, or even influenced by the black metal scene and things like that? That, you know what I mean? Like, what was it? The like fucking road dog life?
What was the cause of the change?
Yeah,
clearly a change happened.
Right.
Because you can hear, if you go back and watch footage of them around the time, probably touring for Cowboys or maybe touring for Vulgar early on.
Yeah.
Like, he can't do some of the shit he was doing on Cowboys.
Right.
A couple years before that.
Right.
He has to do other things now.
Right.
So yeah, that's
yeah, like, and I mean,
question.
this isn't like a what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, it's not an insult.
No, not at all.
Because, but I'm curious as to like what and how much was that like a conscious decision on his part to like lean into a certain thing a certain way, and we're like, well, it looks like that shit's gone. Guess I'm the vocal fry guy,
Well, yeah. I wonder if it was. I wonder how much of it was, and how much of it was just his voice actually, for whatever reason, just changed.
Right.
Because, like I said, it seems like he just can't do some of that shit after a certain point.
Right. I mean, I don't know.
But yeah, who knows?
All right.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
So, and then the other thing I had like just the vibe, right? Which we've kind of talked about like that, but like I think that'll be more important on like some of the other records.
I mean, this record has its own vibe that it doesn't come back to.
Yeah.
In any of the records.
It's done.
Yeah. And I really, really
it's
like.
done after this. Yeah.
This is one of my favorite albums. period. I think
it's so good.
I think it's safe to say.
It's so good.
And like you said, it surprisingly, perhaps, it has aged maybe the best.
Yeah,
of
I
their albums.
didn't think that, because growing up, like Trendkill was always my favorite.
Well, yeah. Once Trendkill came out, it was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
This is the thing.
That album, which we'll talk about when we get to, but that album kind of became a North Star, especially for us.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like an art album, if you will, and that became kind of our shit.
Shit,
You know,
we did a thing on our
We
album.
did.
Did we talk about that? I
we
don't
did.
remember.
Oh, dude, you know we did.
Okay, I'm pretty sure we did.
You know we did.
It's been a while though.
Like 6 months, motherfucker.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, like this was always like, yeah, I didn't really get how amazing this record was then. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised it is aged. All right, so let's do like a few quick little wrap ups on this record. So are there any other sort of notes on other songs that we sort of didn't touch on? So I have something about Shattered. So Shattered, I'm like, what a banger, you know. But the demo version is interesting for Shattered because there's this like long ass fucking Judas Priest intro. It's long.
Whoa, really? Like,
Yeah.
What's Judas Priest about it?
That it's just like this kind of like plotting fucking epic intro.
Okay.
You know? And you know, like I can't think of the name, like Hellion or whatever, maybe, is sort of the Priest track that maybe some, I don't know. I'm fucking that up. Priest purists, don't come at me, man. I love Priest, but I'm kind of surface on the
They're
Priest.
too old at this point. It doesn't matter. They can't.
Dude, they're
find you.
great, dude. They're fucking.
No, I mean the Priest purists are too old.
Oh, the Firepower record is legit, man. Priest. I have a whole spiel about why our generation missed Priest, but you know.
Oh no, I think there are probably multiple reasons why our generations miss Priest. Like I kind of, weirdly enough, Beavis and Butthead got me to sort of respect Priest more than most things, more than Priest's actual music at the time. But then I kind of got into some of their actual music.
Dude, they're so good. The thing is, like, this is my spiel, right? They had a major lineup change whenever we were, of the age where we would have been going to concerts and shit like that. So they had to replace their original singer. So so that like knocked them down to the level of places they would have been playing. So they wouldn't have been like touring to an arena and having Pantera open for them like Black Sabbath was.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They were like out doing clubs and shit with a new fucking singer. Okay.
Fuck, I guess we can just talk about this some other time. Did they have another singer besides Ripper Owens?
No.
Replace?
No.
He was the one who.
He was the one.
So, the fucking 2 Minutes to Late Night show that I showed you. They do an episode on Jugulator.
Yeah.
Which is that album they did with him.
Uh-huh.
And they actually really liked it.
Dude, he did good shit.
Yeah,
man.
he did a good
He's
job. I remember that being a good job. And what's weird is that at the time, now that we talk about it, I remember like being into some of this shit that like 2 did.
Yeah.
Which was Rob Halford's
Fuck yeah, with fucking John
weird
5.
Industrial band. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I was like,
Fuck
yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty good shit here.
Fuck yeah, man. That when everyone was doing like weird industrial shit, dude. Fucking Geezer has like a fucking record with Burton singing on it.
What?
Yes, it's
Whoa.
cool as shit, dude. It's heavy. It's fucking weird.
It is weird that you bring that up. Like a lot of people just like went and did weird industrial shit at that, like in the sort of mid to late 90s.
That was like the cool thing about 90s is it's like, well, what's the hip thing to do now?
Yeah.
Go be weird as fuck.
Yeah. Do Gravity Kills, but whatever you want to do.
Hey.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, and then I think the other thing that was weird for us to wrap our head around with Priest being our age is that they had enough songs. There were enough songs that were sort of like classic rock staples. So they felt too close to being like Journey.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I
guess
mean?
so.
Or like George Thorogood. You know what I mean? Like they felt like,
They were bad to the bone, is what you're saying.
yeah, because Living After Midnight feels real close to, like Bad to the Bone or Born to Be Wild or, You know what I mean?
It is still that like living after
Yeah.
night. It is,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And so, so I think that kind of put a little barrier for us to keep from digging deeper into the other stuff that was going on with Priest. So,
Sure.
But yeah, man, Priest is the fucking shit.
Yeah.
Go down that Judas Priest rabbit hole. You won't regret it.
Bring some earplugs for those high voices.
Yeah. This is. So like our song, the All Severed song creator is almost a direct ripoff of Painkiller.
Painkiller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know this?
I didn't, but I'm thinking about it now.
You know
yeah.
it now.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I just took like that drum intro and made it the verse of creator.
You did good. If you're gonna rip someone off, I mean,
if you're gonna,
there are worse ways to go.
There's worse things to do. So yeah, that's an interesting thing about the song "Shattered." Clash with reality. With
reality.
With reality. So that's an interesting track, man.
Yeah.
The arrangement's kind of a mess. There's a lot going on in there.
A little bit, yeah.
But what I thought was really interesting was at like the 55-second mark. Let me see if I can pull it up just so I can just show you.
I'm trying to think how it starts. It's
That sounds right.
Yeah. Okay.
So, right.
Like where they go.
It's got this fucking like crazy drum fill.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But then like that right there is like a total precursor to so much of the riffage on Far Beyond Driven, I feel. Because it's because it's got that 3/4 thing. Like you know,
Okay.
over the
Use my third arm a little bit.
Yeah, or like 5 minutes alone, maybe even a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, that was something that I like sort of picked up on. That I thought I was like, okay. You know, like this is a little bit of a
plant the seeds there.
Right. Yeah, and this is, I love the outro on this song because it's just fucking super fucking thrashy.
Yeah.
This is that's probably their fastest song.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. I thought Medicine Man's like, this is probably Phil's best
I
performance.
fucking love that song, man. It's so goofy, but I love it.
Yeah.
Phil is like all over the fucking place in that song. It's insane.
It is so engaging like the whole fucking time.
Yeah, because in the verses he's like speaking, like whispering almost, like this deep. There stands a magic man who bears an evil mark, and then it gets immediately from that. Just,
and by the high you'll swear.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's fucking.
What a fucking transition that is.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think we covered everything really.
Okay, so I have some bonus things for you.
Okay.
Because I sent out the bat signal.
Oh, okay.
Okay, to like get other people's input.
Oh, good idea.
On this, like, what are your 3 tracks? What tracks would you throw away, and what tracks, or like what are your essential tracks and what would you throw away? So it's almost useless, but I asked our friend Jet.
Okay.
Because he and I are so close to being the same person.
Oh no.
It was almost useless.
Okay.
So he's gonna be with us in a few weeks when we talk about the videos. So we're gonna have a guest. So for his essential tracks for Cowboys from Hell, hold on, he sent me all this shit in a fucking mess. There it is. So he said Domination, Art of Shredding, and Heresy. So they are the exact same 3 that I picked.
Wow.
And then for the ones that he would trash, he actually said Medicine Man or The Sleep.
Just don't appreciate the finer things, Jed.
Yeah, right. He said both have great riffs and drums, but I think the lyrics are just bad.
No, that you're coming at it from the completely wrong direction there, sir.
We're saying it right here and now, fucking Jed. You are wrong. Your thinking is incorrect. But you did say something that was interesting that I sort of agreed with, which is like, part of me wants to say Cemetery Gates, but that's just
to get rid of.
Yeah, because it's just overplayed. You know, so it's like, because I find myself not really wanting to listen to that song a lot.
That's not incorrect.
But it's not because the song isn't fucking amazing.
Yeah. As an overarching thing about all of these Pantera episodes we're gonna do, like, I didn't have to go back and listen to any of this shit because I fucking know it all
it's
by
in
heart.
our fucking bones.
I have heard this music so many times that it can't possibly have the effect on me that it had 30 years ago, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it lives more at this point in my mind as nostalgia, and then I can go back and objectively just listen to it. I can never like Cemetery Gates has been played so many times.
Right.
I've heard it so many times, so many different places.
Right.
It's like
it's its own.
I just know that it's an amazing song. I can't hear it and feel that amazingness anymore.
Yes. Yes.
So I get it.
Right. And then I also asked my friend Shay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Shay's a little older than us. Okay. Jet's the same age as us.
Yeah.
All right. So Shay's one of the guys that like can tell you about like the first time he heard this record.
Right.
And how that, oh, well, shit's different now.
Okay. Cool.
Like Shay's closer to 50. So his essential tracks are Cowboys from Hell.
Okay.
He says absolutely the most essential track of their catalog, in my opinion.
I'm gonna agree with that.
So he's like, this is a mission statement, right?
I'm gonna agree with that.
It's hard to disagree. Number 2, Heresy. You were the odd one out here, motherfucker.
I'll be wrong.
And then he says, favorite line since 1990, so they can lick my sack.
Oh.
So the exact thing that you're like, fuck that, I don't need it.
Again though, if this is a scale of like 1 to 100, Heresy's still like 95.
Still 95,
like,
right? Yeah.
It just has to be the lowest one on there. Something has to be lowest, is all it is.
And then number 3 for his essential track was Primal Concrete Sledge.
My man.
His voice is so goddamn percussive in those verses. This is standing for the way you live.
That's a good
I have
point.
something to give. I don't regret. I did a little of God in me. You're like, yeah, man, it's fucking legit.
That song is fucking weird, man.
It's so weird. Like every single piece of it is fucking strange.
Like he's almost like doing a weird combination of scatting and like rapping at a certain point.
Yeah, it's
like fuck.
It's just like the idea that like Vinny goes and plays like that, like just plays that, and Dime's like, I got something for this. 3 over 4, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then like Phil's like, I can sing over that. I got something. This little sin for the way you live. I just have something to give. I break the sweat and I don't regret. What just gives to the God in me? Like
to take that drum beat and to take that guitar riff and feel that over it. What the fuck were you doing?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So fucking yeah. Like
yeah. I can't argue with any of this.
This is amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then his track to trash on Cowboys from Hell was Shattered. And he says, throwback to the days of let's see how high I can sing. Man. So that's Shay's.
I mean, that is on that track, so
that's Shay's take.
I can't disagree.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So and Shay's a vocalist, so I can see why like maybe he would cue on that a little bit more. So yeah. Okay. Thought that was interesting, right?
Yeah, nice. Good call.
I asked another friend of mine, but he hasn't responded. So
not a big enough fan.
Well, I wanted to get his opinion because he's like I jam with him and it's like, oh, this dude is a guitar player who like worships. You know what I mean? Like he is into Dimebag Darrell as a guitar player. You know what I mean? Like, so okay. Yeah, man, he's a cool dude, man. Like we got together to fucking Like, we kept showing up at the same death metal shows. And he was like, hey, man, do you want to jam? I was like, fuck yeah, I want to jam. So, like, he's big into, like, Suffocation, Slayer, Machine Head, Pantera. So, you know, like, musically, me and this guy, like, fucking click.
All right, well,
So-
when he responds, we'll revisit that.
Yeah, we might have to wait till next time. All right. I need to go get a charger for my phone. So talk about whatever you want for about a minute.
Oh, you're going to do this to me, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
well, what if I just sit here and drink some water and stare at the camera for about a minute? Okay, it was like 5 seconds. That's not going to happen, really. That wasn't even a minute.
Well, man, I'm not done yet.
Oh, shit. I'm not done yet.
Got that low pass filter.
I think we already made that joke on this
I had to listen to it.
podcast. Oh shit!
Yeah, so we made a low pass filter
Low pass fill, sir.
joke. Somewhere.
Do you know what episode it was? Yeah.
It's episode 2, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Because I had it on loop. Like that's what I used to like. I don't know if it was episode 2 or like episode 10, but I had that section on like loop, like using that as like trying to figure out how to EQ our voices and shit. So,
Okay, so
all right, man. I think it's so.
close the book on Cowboys from Hell. Incredible album.
Ooh.
We'll never talk about it again.
Ever is dead to
Ever.
us.
It's dead to me.
It's dead to us. We're gonna take it and we're gonna put it on a shelf, in a box.
Put that into a box.
And put it on a shelf where it can rot.
You wonder what hell is like? He can show you it one night.
All right, man. So here we are, vulgar display power. Now, I think that this is because I think that the vulgar display of power is really kind of the like Pantera becoming the Pantera that everyone would know of in the 90s.
Yes,
Like-
100%. Yes.
And so for good or bad, you know,
I don't really think of it that way normally, but especially to bring up this interview again, after this interview, like, I was like, of course that's the case.
right.
Like, the tone, like, the sonically, this album is, like, untouchable. This album's incredible.
Sure.
But yeah, also, image-wise,
Right.
I guess you can say.
Right. Yeah. Like they complete. Like he's no. This is Dimebag, Daryl. This is not Diamond.
There's
Daryl.
no vestiges of Diamond Daryl hanging around here.
I think he's still listed as Diamond Daryl in the Cowboys from Hell.
I think they do. Yeah.
Let's see. Hold on. Your boy, Diamond Daryl.
Your boy. Modern fucking drummer.
The king of thrash metal drumming. They know what they're talking about.
Oh, we'll get to that.
There's so much of that to get to. Fucking God damn it, man. Because like, Big Paul is barely a thrash metal drummer. Like, no one gave a shit about thrash metal in fucking 1995 or 94 when that fucking article was written. But leave it to modern fucking drummer to be like gatekeeper behind the fucking times. Like, god damn it, guys.
Oh boy, that is a whole other conversation, isn't it?
Dude, dude, the way they treated metal drummers, like, well, they got fucking famous enough. I guess we have to talk about him. And then like the interviews are always so shitty when they would talk to metal drummers, like, so you don't just play fast. Like, I listen to what you do, and like, it's actually good drumming. Wow. Did you listen to jazz? Like, that's like I think I heard a Dave Weckl lick in that. Oh my God. Oh, that's really cool that you pick up on that. I really like Dave Weckle's work with Michael Camillo. You know, like, whatever, man. Like, it's whatever. Hold on. I'm getting emotional. Sorry. We've
We've got some other emotions to talk about.
Yeah. We'll get to this. Okay. But yeah, so like that's a thing that I think that is probably harder for us that we don't have as much of an innate sense of, because we experienced Cowboys from Hell, Vulgar's play, or I did.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, like when I actually got into Pantera, this album was contemporaneous with Cowboys from Hell. I kind of came across these at roughly the same time.
Right. So like we experienced these all sort of together. And so because of that, we didn't have as much of a sense of what a leap Vulgar was from Cowboys from Hell.
Right. Like what a departure it was in some ways.
Right. Because all that like fantastical shit is gone. And it's all this like, for better or worse, this all like sort of, like street level fucking like aggro bro word salad poetry shit.
The perfect way to say it, yeah.
How did I say it? I wrote something down for
Streetwise, I believe is a lyric on this album.
It is. My streetwise son of a bitch knows.
Which I never knew what he was saying there.
Don't fuck with this. Yeah. Most regular people would say.
Which is going to
It's hard. And a streetwise son of a bitch knows.
Which is going to be an interesting okay, anyway.
Yeah, Phil pioneering the aggro paranoia bro word salad aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna say that again because I stand by that. The aggro paranoia bro word salad aesthetic.
Which is literally what you described earlier with like this fucking the jorts and the like the flannel vest or whatever the fuck and the bald head and just like sort of muscles and sweat punching everywhere.
And this is the thing, is it's all of a sudden this album is angry. Like Cowboys from Hell's aggressive.
Right. There's a very distinct difference there.
But it's not angry.
Right.
Like you're not like medicine man. You're like, he's not mad about that. It's just
prescribe me the wrong pills.
Yeah,
the medicine man. Yeah.
I mean, he's barely mad when he says, "And you can lick my sack."
It's more of like a. There's more of a sneer there than like an anger, like a rage.
Right. And like maybe Phil would want to fight me over this. I'll take that fight. Let's do it. But like some of the anger on here feels to me, I'm sorry, it feels a little like kind of manufactured to me. Like it feels like it's like, all right, so anger's the thing that we're doing. And I don't know, it feels like he's like trying too hard to sort of be mad at something. So,
well, I think it sort of feels like they had an album full of this, and that's what they decided the theme was going to be.
Sure, right.
And so they needed to make all the songs feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Is what my take is on it.
Yeah. Like I probably shouldn't go that far as to say like it feels phoned in because it's still just songwriting and shit like that. But I guess like,
well, to a certain extent, I agree with you.
I feel like with Vulgar, Far Beyond, and Great Southern Trendkill, there's like where Phil's directing the anger is different on sort of each one of those records. On this one, it's all about other people. It's all
regular people.
Regular fucking people, And then like Far Beyond Driven, a lot of that is internal. Like I drink all day, I smoke all day.
Yeah.
I've done it all, but tap the vein.
True,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Southern Trendkill, some of it's still inward, but a lot of it is like at society. It's not at like individuals per se, right? It's all like the whole trend thing, right? Like society, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I resonate with anger directed at oneself, and I resonate with anger directed at society. I don't resonate with anger that's directed at other individual people, because I'm not 12 anymore. Walk on home, boy. Like I don't. That doesn't do it for me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like.
Yep.
What is it? I crush your rush.
I rule, you fool. I mean, that lyric has always just been like, but like it's so goofy. I rule you, fool. And that just reminds me of what the fuck's the movie? Homeward Bound. Cats rule and dogs drool.
Oh man!
So that just brings to mind.
Dude, one of the greatest tragedies was recasting the voice actor for Shadow in Homeward Bound 2.
Oh, well,
I'd do anything for you, Peter. Terrible performance by the.
I don't know if I ever saw that. I mean, Don Amici, I think, died past that point, didn't he?
I don't know. Whatever it was, I blame somebody because the voice acting for Shadow in Homeward Bound 2
that was Don Amici, yeah.
is subpar to Homeward Bound 1.
I was a big Don Amici fan. Strangely
Is that the
enough.
voice actor in Homeward Bound 1?
Yeah, he's the old dude. So, do you remember Trading Places?
Yes.
So the two old guys, the two rich guys,
Yes.
Mortimer and whatever the other guy's name is. One of those guys is Don Amici,
Oh, okay.
and he was in a movie called Folks with Tom Selleck.
Yeah. So
Amazing
there's,
actor.
There's
Anyway.
two of those dudes. I think I know which one you're talking about.
He's the bald guy.
Okay.
Is Don Amici.
Okay. Yeah, he was also in Harry and Henderson's. One of my
shit.
favorite fucking films. Here's another interesting thing. The other guy, the other one,
The rich
in Trading
guy.
Places, he was in the original Universal Wolfman.
Ooh, nice.
Suck on that shit.
Nice.
Um,
Good shit. All right.
yeah, boy.
Movie minute there.
From Vulgar Display of Power.
Vulgar Display of Power.
Oh, let's look at this guy. He's so tough. Ooh, he's so tough. Ooh.
Walk on home, boy.
You can even see his boxers. Dude, it's just seething masculinity. I can't even handle. Oh, but look how jolly Vince is.
No one else in this lineup looks so angry.
Yeah.
Daryl's just like, yo, I'm playing guitar, dude.
Yo, I'm playing guitar. And then like Rex is like, fuck Dime's riffs. Shit's hard.
I gotta fill this shit in.
Yeah, man. And
This is
then
rough.
ooh. Sorry. All right, Phil. Yeah, Phil. We're gonna be picking on you.
We're gonna be picking on Phil a
We're
lot
gonna
for
be
this
picking
one.
on you on this one. All right.
However, an interesting wrinkle will appear in these lists that we're gonna read off here.
All right. Let's do it. Okay. So your 3 essential tracks from Vulgar Display of Power.
Yep.
You want to go back and forth again?
Yeah, we'll go back.
All right,
and
what's
forth
your
again.
first one?
Fucking Hostile?
My first one is Hollow.
Yeah. All right. I can get behind that.
Boom. All right, your number 2.
Mouth for War.
My number 2 is Mouth for War.
All right.
All right, your
My number 3 is Regular People. Conceit.
Oh, we're gonna have problems.
Yeah, let's go.
My third one is This Love.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
So because I was torn between Fucking Hostile and This Love.
Okay.
I picked This Love because not necessarily because of the breakdowns, but because of the fucking post-chorus riffs. Like, that song has to have one of my favorite arrangements of all fucking time ever. Because there's like 2 times after the chorus that it just goes like it goes into like 2 completely different shred your face, groove your ass fucking riffs, and it's completely different. And they figured out a way to do both of them and it work. It's divine to me.
Yeah.
It's divine to me. So that's why I had to pick that one.
Totally.
All right, what's your trash track?
So this one,
You're like,
this one was a little bit. It was also difficult to pick one off this album, but not for the same reason. Not because I like them all so much.
yeah.
It was more like
because the ones that suck all suck about the same.
So
Suck being a relative term.
yeah, so I was unhappy with a lot of songs on this album for different reasons.
Okay.
But the one I ended up picking was A New Level. Simply because it's kind of the least. It's kind of the most like whatever to me on this album.
How about that?
It can kind of take it or leave it, really.
Fucking hot take Henry over here.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So I'm just like, whatever. A new level,
Okay.
I could do with or without. Doesn't really matter.
Interesting.
Whereas the other ones, I actually have like some sort of opinion about good or bad. That's kind of how I looked at it.
How about that?
Yeah,
Well,
it's kind of the least exciting song off this album for me.
Huh. I disagree, but that's why it takes two.
So what was yours?
Attack the Radical. Yeah. Throw that motherfucker in the garbage. And I don't really hate the song. There's other songs that I dislike more, like as a musical piece.
Okay.
Like I don't to me, like I was like, can I like get rid of 7, 8, and 9? Can I get rid of No Good, Live in a Hole, Regular People, and get Message in Blood back?
Can I take the second half of Cowboys and transplant it onto you?
Yeah. It was sort of how I felt. Because I feel like man, but I think as a song, like No Good, Attack the Radical is a good song, but the lyrical content, oh God.
It's not good at all.
It's not good.
It's no good, you might say.
It's no good for no one.
For no one. So
but Live in a Hole, and so the thing is about, so we're starting off talking about the shitty one, or and I mean it's relative, right? Because most bands would just fucking kill to have like one of these songs, but I don't know, man. I just feel like those tracks are just kind of fucking hot messes, man. The arrangements are weird, the riffs are great, but the construction of the songs just doesn't work as well, I don't think. But you picked Regular People as one of your essentials. So defend that position.
So I went back and forth whether to pick Regular People for one to keep or one to get rid of. is the thing.
I'll drink to that. Oh, you even got X's and shit, man.
I got emojis and shit on
dude,
here. Dude,
you're this is a person who has to communicate with other people via technology
bingo.
Often.
So
not me.
So I put that on here because I really like a lot of the musical shit that it does. I like the arrangement. I love the riffage on the song. I love the feel and this is to me one of the most interesting and fun songs on this album, at least guitar wise, okay. and feel wise.
Let me reorient myself.
Lyrically, no, thank you.
Yeah, we'll get
but
into that.
I like all this shit.
I'll do there's no complaints on the riffage, right? Like
it's kind of on here on the strength of that.
Yeah, the riffage is incredible. I feel like the construction of the songs of Live in a Hole and Regular People kind of lacks a little bit to me. Like just the way everything's tied together.
So
yeah.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. So another thing about this is, I mean, it goes for Cowboy. Well,
yeah. I fight for love, brother. Your friends fight one another. Something.
Yeah.
The solo's cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I really enjoy the construction of the song overall. I like what they do with it. It's one of my favorites on the album. It's one of the ones on the album where I could look at it and go, I really like a lot. I have feelings about what they're doing here.
Okay.
Quite a bit. Versus some of the other stuff on this album. A lot of the other stuff on this album, I just come back to it and I'm like, I kind of just don't really mind it or one way or the other.
Right. So I kind of feel that way, I think, that you're describing about like A New Level and Walk. Because they're just so like, they're so ingrained.
Yeah. that's kind of why I picked a new level for my get rid of, because it's like it's so like I just don't care about it really. And
Right.
walk is like right there, honestly.
Yeah.
It's right there with it.
Yeah, and it's not because those aren't amazing. It's just because it's kind of played out. We've just heard them so much. They're just, and it's like almost when you think of those songs at this point, you don't even really. It's hard. This is what it is. It's hard to see those songs as for what they are, and
Yeah.
not see sort of like what they mean to other people. And not like it's hard for me to think of Walk and not think of seeing this like 50-year-old dude do it at karaoke by himself in Baytown one time.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
He was the DJ too. That's what it was even weird. It was like, I'll get this fucking party started. I'll just walk by myself. And he's standing by the fucking soundboard. And me and fucking Kevin Schubrick, you know, we're fucking like, I still kind of regret like because Kevin was like, we need to take the mic from him. We need to go storm this shit.
Oh, was it like bad?
It wasn't great.
Okay.
I wish Kevin was here because he'd have a bang up impression. You know, what do you say? Like it was kind of like, you know. But yeah. So
this album, much more than Cowboys from Hell, I come at it from a point of like not having a lot of feeling about it anymore, and much more like coming at it fresher and just being like, what do I actually like about this album anymore?
I kind of see that.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
And this is the other thing too, is like now we're starting to get into where we are almost going to be reacting to other people's reactions to Pantera. And for me, like I mean, I'm not saying that that's necessarily that's not informing my entire opinion, but it's like it's a thing that I see in the corner of the room, and like any asshole Pantera fan that you've met is not an asshole. Like they're not talking about heresy or art of shredding. Like they're talking about Walk or A New Level.
Sure.
Well,
I mean, like we said, this is kind of the album that projected what Pantera would become.
Right, it solidified the image, you know. And I mean, you've got it right here, like on the back, you know. Like you got like fucking Phil looking all tough and shit. He's got a shaved head. You know, Dime's got a weed hat. You know, Dime is, you know, now Dime is Dime. He's not Diamond. Oh no, he's still Diamond. Do-do-do.
Oh shit.
He's still Diamond, hanging in
Interesting.
there.
Okay.
Keep it clutch, Daryl.
I wouldn't have guessed.
But yeah, but this is like the thing, and I'm gonna criticize a lot of it. But it is also the thing that made Pantera special, which was this street fucking element, for lack of a better word. Like it felt relatable, you know. It felt like, you know, like there was something that felt very like Metallica felt way up there.
Yeah.
You know, but Pantera somehow felt like it somehow felt real.
I almost want to say like blue collar, but I don't know if that's the right term. There's something there though.
There is something there, and Phil is what did that. Similar to what Ozzy did with Black Sabbath, I think in the 70s. Like Ozzy took whatever Sabbath was doing, you know, like the incredible musicianship, the whatever, and like made it real and relatable to your average fucking person. And I think Phil did that too.
Sure.
And so that's like the big, that's one of the reasons that Pantera was so successful, is that there was like a street cred element to their image. You know, and for all the like shit that they talked about alternative music and trends or whatever, but there's a little bit of a grunge influence in their wardrobe change here. Like Phil's was literally wearing flannel at the Monsters of Rock. Yeah, it's fucking wrapped around his goddamn cargo shorts, you know. So, you know, like everyone was hit by that, like, every in the early 90s, everyone was hit by that, like, oh, it seems all the kids are really tired of all the pretentious bullshit. You gotta like look like a regular person. You gotta bring that shit down.
Yeah.
It seems like everyone was sort of hit by that. And Pantera like nailed that fucking image. And I think Phil was a big part of that.
Yeah. Definitely.
But yeah, so okay. Where do you want to start with this?
So I don't know. I guess the place to start with this, like we've already sort of brought up a little bit, like I spend more time than I probably should have. Not a lot of time, but more time than I should have, I think, listening to this album, reading the lyrics along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I did not do with Cowboys from Hell, and I never really have done before with this album.
Okay.
Like I knew a lot of the lyrics, but I'd never sat down and like gone along with it.
I see.
Like I did this time. And it was trying to pick out like what is this album actually trying to say? And after doing it I went through it a couple times, and the results are unclear.
There's only
the Magic 8 Ball said, "Fucking come back later, dude."
There are only 2 songs on the air that are about fucking anything, and that's "This Love" and "Hollow." Yeah. And notice that both of those made my essential tracks list.
Fair.
The rest of it is what I fucking said, man. It's free-floating aggression, like paranoia, aggro, bro.
Yeah.
You know.
So
everyone's talking shit about me, but they don't fucking know. They don't know what I am.
They don't know me. So I was going through, like, before I even listened to the album, I was like, I'm going to have to go through and figure out which one of these songs has some shitty lyrical content that I want to put on my fucking no list, right? And so the reason I came away with something like A New Level versus like, you know, one of the other songs that has like,
okay,
I don't want to say obviously shitty lyrics because I don't really know for sure. That's kind of the thing. It's kind of hard to tell what is being talked about here in a lot of cases.
It's so yeah.
It's
for
so
sure.
nebulous, but like it has an obvious vibe or style to it. Like, fuck you, man. You don't get me, man. Like,
yes, yeah.
But like, what are you talking about? I don't know. And it's just kind of like flaccid at that point to me. At this point,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know what this album's about, other than just like undirected, vulgar display of power, like just undirected rage, you know?
Right. Well, and it's a very like specific kind of lens of rage, too. Right.
Yes.
Which is like, it's very external. It's very like, you know, like fuck you, like you said. And there's nothing. Right. There's very little. Like, I'm clearly in the right. You talk shit about me. You don't understand me. Fuck you. And like that's all of it. And like some of it, like I'm looking at the lyrics of New Level, and it doesn't like bother me because there's a weird thing for me on this record where it's like if you're vague enough, if the lyrics are vague enough, then I'm okay with it. And like Mouth for War, A New Level, fucking Hostile, those are vague enough.
Those are very vague.
Attack the Radical, even Regular People
less vague
are not vague enough, and I am not okay with I'm not okay with the dog whistles and the bullshit in there. So
that's what makes it even more weird is like it's clear to me that he's trying to do that, but it still comes across as vague. Like it's still this weird middle ground.
Right, and that's what makes it to me
maybe worse.
Yes.
On some level. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
All right. So there is video footage of Phil screaming, like sig heiling and screaming white power from the stage.
When was this?
This is the recent thing that happened in Dime Bash.
Right.
Whenever Rob Flynn blew that shit up.
It was like 3 or 4 years ago.
It was more than that.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly what year, but you can see it. Go look at Rob Flynn's video. It's in there. The footage is there. You know, like Phil screams white power and sig heils. that's not really forgivable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Nope, it's not.
really know how. Like, I still love the guy, you know, but I love him like I guess I love a crazy racist uncle who's done some fucked up things. And you know, like that's because I don't know how drunk you have to be. Because it's like, if you don't sig heil and like think about white power on a regular basis, I don't know why it would come out of you when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Like, I'm drunk as fuck right now, and I'm not doing a bunch of shit I'm not hitting you with a bunch of thoughts I've never thought before. I've never once thought about white power, but here it comes, blah. Like, no, I don't think that's what happens. And so that's a fucking problem, and you can't ignore it, and you can't not look at these lyrics through that lens.
Totally. I mean, he references multiple times like race and authority and things like
Race,
that.
pride,
Very directly.
prejudice.
Yeah.
So,
But that's what's so fucking frustrating about this album. With this lens to look back at it is so. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what it is from us now. I guess the point is what it was then, and it got people to think about. I don't know. I don't have a good way to go about that.
at the time,
Looking back with our lens with what we know now about what he's done since then, it's frustratingly vague on this album.
Yes.
But it didn't have to be then. I guess is what I'm saying, to get his point across.
well, and the thing about the lyrics in No Good Attack the Radical is that at the time, I thought that this was an anti-racist song.
Exactly. That's
Because that's how it will read to you.
yes.
If you don't give a shit what black people say, that's how these lyrics will read to you, because they will read to you as, because so I also went and I listened to some of his white pride speeches that he was given in like 95.
Really?
And shit like that. Yeah. Quote unquote white pride. Okay.
I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm unfamiliar with this.
Oh, dude, yeah, man. And I saw it fucking live, man. I saw him do this. Okay? Because I was very fortunate. I saw Pantera like in 96. I saw them in 97.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them in 99. And then we saw them together in, I think, 2001. Maybe 2002.
Saw them a couple times together, I think.
Nope, just once.
Just once? Okay.
Astro Arena. Reinventing the Steel Tour.
Okay.
That's the only time that we saw them together.
Okay.
You were at that, right?
I was at that. I saw them a couple times, I guess.
I think you also saw them at like Baytown.
I saw them at Ozfest.
Right. I didn't go to that
Okay.
for whatever fucking reason.
Okay.
But yeah. And I think it was in the 96 show. Like, I think he had like some fucking like white pride, white this rant. And so I'm going to kind of like paraphrase. Forgive me. So the tone of those speeches, someone did like a YouTube compilation of them, put them together. And the tone of them, like, it's interesting because they're not the most racist thing that I've heard someone say from a stage in person.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm not talking about the like fucking Sig Heil screaming white power shit. That we're going to put that over somewhere else. That is unforgivable, incriminating beyond.
Yeah.
But so just looking isolated at these things he was saying in like 95. So the most racist thing I've ever heard someone say in person was Ted Nugent.
Wow, you saw Ted Nugent somewhere.
Yeah, fucking opening for Kiss in 1998 at
my
the
God.
Woodlands Pavilion. And this motherfucker said, "Speak English or get the fuck out of the country."
1998.
To a fucking Kiss audience in Houston, Texas, which is like a good like 50% Hispanic. It was upsetting. It was upsetting, dude. Like, for real.
Were people like pissed?
Dude, it was really fucking weird because there was like a split second where like it went silent.
Like people kind of didn't realize what it was that you said, and it took a minute to process.
Right, because it was like halfway into a set, and everyone up to that point is just like fucking like, yeah, fucking Ted Nugent, man, you fucking rock. We're enjoying your fucking music. And then like halfway in, he like pulls like an American flag or some bullshit, does some whatever demonstrative bullshit, and he says something. If you can't speak English, get the fuck out of the country. And like, it's the goddamn Woodlands Pavilion. You know, it's an outdoor shed, man.
Yeah.
And like, it was like, it went silent. And like, because it was like for like half a second, because everyone was taking a breath.
Right.
And like, it felt like 30% of the people were taking the breath to go, boo! And then 30% of the people were taking a breath to go, yes! Like they were just invigorated by this racist man. And then 20% of the people were just confused. It was...
But then the other 20% were just, they just died. They just passed out from
they
like
were
disbelief.
like, what is it even? Like they weren't even paying attention.
They were just thinking about Stranglehold.
Yeah,
Awesome the solo is.
They didn't even hear him.
Yeah.
So that's like...
Ugh, God.
So that's... Because that's just incendiary bullshit. And Phil's speeches are not that. They're something different. They're more subtle.
Yeah.
And there's something weird going on.
I've never heard these speeches from him, so I don't understand quite if they are like ignorant.
They're a little that. They're a little that.
Or intentionally subversive. You know, like there's a very clear difference a lot of the time.
It's big triggered white man energy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so here you go. I'm gonna paraphrase. All right, so Phil's, it's kind of like this, right?
Not that being ignorant is an excuse, by the way.
Of course, yeah. Not saying that.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, like it's this like, I'm trying to decide if I should do this in a Phil voice or not.
Go for it.
It'll probably like morph in and out, but it's like it comes from this place of like I'm not prejudiced, I'm not racist. I love people of all colors and creeds, but, and let me hear you scream if you understand what I'm saying, because no one else has the guts to say what me, a Pantera, what we're gonna really say to you. I am goddamn sick and tired of having to hear black people talk about racism. And say that it's white people's fault. I was born in 1968. I didn't have anything to do with any of that bullshit. So that's the...
Okay, I see what you mean now.
That's the vibe of it, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And like he adds a few more steps. I'm paraphrasing to really drive the point home, but he, like his whole thing, like it bothers him enough to take minutes out of a goddamn arena metal show. Like you got three of the best goddamn motherfucking musicians playing.
Roll Rex into that.
And you're like, hold the fuck up, Don, Vinny, and Rex. I need to talk about someone saying racism exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's big, you know what it is? It's big fucking like like the big like critical race theory protests right now. Like, I'm not racist, but I'll be goddamn if I'm gonna be forced to listen to black people talk about racism.
If anyone wants to tell my kids that racism happened, fuck that shit.
Right. But I'm not racist. And how dare you, you know what I mean?
If we don't bring it up, it'll just stop happening.
Right. Like, I'm not racist, but I'll be goddamn if I'm gonna let black people talk about it.
Fuck that.
You know? So yeah, it's problematic. It's bullshit. And it's fucking strange that like, dude, you're a goddamn fucking rock star. Why is this the thing you're picking to be angry about? What the fuck, dude? And I have to be angry about it. And as much as I love Phil and as much as I want to honor and respect his legacy, because like when he says shit like this, like he speaks for all of the metal fucking community. And he incidentally, like for the people who do feel that and do resonate with that, he makes a safe space for those motherfuckers.
Right.
And fuck all of those assholes.
Right. It's that's that percentage of Ted Nugent crowd you're talking about. Like
Right.
that's the trouble there.
Right. You know, and like it's that like, and I mean, I remember that aesthetic floating around, you know, in the mid-90s, like if they called it white entertainment television, that'd be racist. See, black people are racist. And you know, man, and like that's just ignorance, right? That's like ignorance. But there's a difference, but like I can't fucking imagine being successful in the fuck as Pantera is in the 90s and like being mad enough about that to like stop a goddamn show and talk about it.
I mean,
why don't you goddamn talk about like goddamn Tibet or something like the Beastie Boys, you fuck. Like,
well, they had that covered already. They had a whole show about that. I mean, I can think of a reason why you might want to feel that strongly about it because you have some fucking feelings about that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I can think of a very good reason for that. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. Like,
right. Yeah, and then the other aspect of that is it's like, and this was something that Kimberly said on when she was, you know, like interrogating the Rogan stuff on the For Harriet thing, and she said because like lots of people were coming out like that, like, Rogan doesn't have a rhesus bone in his body, right? You know. And then she like just cut through all that bullshit, and she was like, if you're platforming racist speech, I don't care what's on your heart.
Yeah, fair.
And that like to me that just like cuts through all the bullshit. Like I don't care how nice Phil is to the black people that he considers his friends.
Yeah.
Okay? Like you stand on a stage and you do that, you make the world less safe for black people.
Yeah. It's literally actions speak louder than words.
Yes.
It's like the most base definition.
Because you have to consider not just what that means to you, like what that speech means to you, and like whatever subtle fucking ways that's like, you know, like maybe you're just mad at this one very specific thing. What does that speech mean to your audience?
Yeah.
And you are responsible for that. Because you stopped your goddamn show to fucking talk about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this isn't, you know what I mean? So yeah, like it's a fucking issue. And so if we bring it back to, you know, to this song, right? We're going to get through this and we're going to go back to talking about the things we love, but we got to talk about all this bullshit too.
There's a lot of bullshit on this album, to be fair.
It is what it is.
So whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it, so like, this song is like, I feel like this song is almost like a masterclass.
Which
in
one?
Like, No Good, Attack the Radical.
Okay.
And like a like masterclass in like dog whistling bullshit. Because it's the kind of thing that if you have like just a little bit of like racist ideas or racist perspectives floating around, which I certainly did as a young man listening to this record, that you're going to pick up on the part that you want to pick up. And you're going to be like, look, see, this isn't racist. You know? But there's other things in there, right? So, you know, let me gather my thoughts here for a second.
Right.
Because I've had a lot of Blacktooth Grin here. It'd probably just be better if I think about this from memory. But like, so like the aspect of like, what is it? Okay, here's a good one. We'll start here. So, no chance, not for a minute, not for a second, I won't be defensive. I'm straight out, in my opinion. you better listen to a man who knows what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, like, all right. I've seen your side. You run and hide from the mere fact that you feel inferior. Be superior.
And know
your interior.
Yeah.
Okay, so like what's that implying, right? So this isn't that kind of like vague word, you know, like you're saying, yeah, but this isn't really word salad. Like he's saying something. That's directed somewhere at someone at something. But this kind of like, so it's painting this picture to me that if you complain, right, you run and hide because you feel inferior. So like, if there's any problem that you haven't been able to fix on your own, that's your fault. So there's that idea. In the States, there's a problem with race because of ignorant past burn fires. So like right there, like if you think that like, yeah, Pantera's not racist, like right there, you're like, look, man, yeah, he said ignorant past burn fires. He's saying all that shit in the past is ignorant.
Right.
He's not racist. This isn't racist, right? From evolution, we've been killing each other. I figure man should have it down to a science. Wait a minute. And that's kind of the rhythm of this whole fucking song, is he says a thing that is kind of triggering one way or another, and then the next line kind of counteracts it. So that you're just kind of like, what the fuck are you even talking about? But what happens is that you're able to take what you want out of it.
Exactly.
And that's the problem, right?
Sure.
So, you know, race, pride, prejudice, black man, white man, no stand.
What does that fucking, do you know what that means?
I have no idea what that means.
Okay. I didn't bother trying to find out because I don't think it means anything, but.
Yeah, live in the past, we make it last. That seems like a fucking problem. Because it sounds like you're saying you're making the past carry on, right? I hated mass, no solution, mind pollution for revolution. This is all word salad. He doesn't know what he's saying. I like the melody of this chorus. So lo, behold my eyes, this land of fools will rise, no good for no one.
So my big question here was when you say this land of fools will rise, what
does that mean?
What are you talking about? Because immediately you're like, oh, that's the phrase that, you know, Confederates used.
Right.
The South will rise
again.
So are you talking about that? Because it doesn't seem like you are, but you sure are kind of saying it.
But you in that, like, and that's the thing. Like, that's why this is so problematic, because he's sort of like abstract like tapping in to all of those things.
Yeah.
Without like saying those things. And so if you are kind of like an ignorant kid like me who thinks racism is bad, but still has a lot of racist bullshit floating around their head because you're a fucking white kid growing up in fucking East Texas in the 90s.
Yeah.
You hear this and you think like, yeah, man, it's clearly not racist because he says ignorant past burn fires, or he says, you know, this or says that. But if you do have explicit racist ideas, you know, here's the clincher, right? You blame oppression and play the role of criminals.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
Like
he doesn't say who he's talking about here, but
you've already said black man, white man in the fucking song, all right? And this is another thing too, man. Like, this is taking place. When did fucking Rodney King happen?
That was 92, I think.
Like let's see. Because there's some bullshit that goes down. 91.
91? Okay.
Yeah, 91. So in the fucking metal community, the fucking like blue collar white community, a big read on the LA riots that the blue collar white community had was like, they destroyed their own community.
Right.
Those fucking animals.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm just saying that
was the read on it. That
was
what people were saying about it.
Right.
Yes.
And so that's part of the context in which a song like this is written. You blame oppression and play the role of criminals. To rape and burn shows progress is minimal. White hoods and militants, it's such a pity, living and breathing violence in your city. That doesn't sound like he's saying white hoods are a bad thing.
That's I don't know what he's saying there.
Right, I don't know what he's saying.
Is he saying there?
But I don't think he's not explicitly saying white hoods are a bad thing.
No, he's not.
It's such a pity. Like,
well, who knows? I don't know.
And I mean, and that's like part of the problem,
yes.
right? That's part of the problem.
Yes.
Because if you're a racist ass piece of shit, you hear that verse and you're like, yeah, you blame oppression, blah, blah, blah. You're a bunch of excuse making fucking criminals. Black people make excuses and they're fucking criminals. That's what you hear if you're a racist piece of shit. You're not making any progress. There's no progress made. White hoods and militants, yeah, that's what you fucking get. You get violence in your city. You get white hoods. You get militants. And I'm not saying, listen, if you're a Pantera fan and this is just a song that you like, I'm not saying that.
This isn't like an attack on.
I'm not attacking. No matter how radical you might be, I'm not attacking you.
No good attack. Gotcha.
But like, I'm talking to I'm saying but if you are like a fucking self-described neo-Nazi motherfucker, that's what you're gonna hear. Like, you're not gonna hear this and be like, man, Phil's not racist at all. This made me rethink my position.
Yeah, it's so weird because in the next part of this fucking verse, he starts talking about the next bit is, if one man had one home in one world, he'd live alone without variety. And this whole next part, it makes it sound like he's giving you like a what if scenario of what if no one had exposure to other
what if we were all the same?
Yeah, what if we were homogenous? What if there was no differentiation and no variety? He literally says variety.
Right.
And wouldn't that make things fucking weird and bad? Is like what he's almost. So it's very confusing as to where he's trying to go with this.
It's extremely confusing because, and part of that, even if you take that for its surface level, right, and you assume it's good, it's still racist and shitty because it's like, is that black people's fucking only purpose is to add variety to your fucking life? Even that idea is problematic. Not as problematic as like white hoods.
Sure. It just doesn't.
But then it wouldn't, no matter what color, he wouldn't be safe from hell. He dwells a closed mind playing the part of prison cells. And it's like.
Right. So, he's clearly not saying like, if you're white, you should expand your horizons. He's not saying that.
Right.
He's kind of saying anybody. He's doing this weird, generalization thing that just doesn't work on any level.
No. And
so that just makes it all the more confusing and useless.
Yeah, useless. Really. Absolutely fucking useless. And so yeah, man. I wish that song didn't fucking exist.
Yeah.
Because if it didn't, yeah, man. Like, what the fuck, Phil? I wish you didn't say such racist shit.
Yes, agreed.
And I'm glad, and I wish you didn't fucking empower shitty ass motherfucking racists. I love you, dude. And I have the absolute utmost respect for you as like a musician and a frontman and an originator and a pioneer and all that shit. But man, I really wish that this wasn't part of it, man. Fuck, dude.
Yeah. But that is all over the place on this album.
Yeah, man. And like, that is another thing. Like, I think it was, there's another one that like, you just get like this is kind of a reach on my part, and I understand that it's a reach.
Okay.
Like on Regular People.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you just get like the slightest hint. Like the slightest little hint. Like that Phil is imagining someone of a different race as his imaginary foe
Yeah.
in some of the lyrics, you know? Like, it's probably not. Like, he's probably just thinking about some asshole on his fucking street that pissed him off, you know? But given all the other crazy shit that he said, you know, like, it doesn't feel like he's just mad at someone whose personality rubs him the wrong way, you know? And, like...
Which part are you talking
Again,
about?
like, I know this is a reach, but well, like the you know, like I fight for love of brother, your friends fight one another. So that's like, that was like kind of like part of like that ethos of like, you know, oh, you know, black people just killing each other.
Right.
You know, fucking all these rappers just fucking shooting and killing each other, blah, 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 blah. Like that's like part of the bullshit commentary waters, you know, pop culture waters at the time.
Sure.
And so, like, again, man, if that was all that there was, I would never connect those dots. Right? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah, man, like, he just knows some shitty friends. He just knows some dude who has some shitty friends. I would never, you know what I mean? But, like, when you stop a fucking concert, it's like, dude, y'all could have played Message in Blood.
In that time period, yeah.
Like, but no,
man. Played Primal Concrete Sledge twice.
Yeah, like you just fucking ranted for fucking 3 minutes about like being mad that there's artists that talk about racism. You know, like now I have to you did this. Now I am forced to look at your entire lyrical output through that lens.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you've shown me that those issues matter enough to you. If it matters enough to you to stop a fucking concert to fucking talk about, like on every goddamn, like not one, it's not just a thing that got stuck in your craw at one fucking show. You did this at every goddamn show of that tour. You know? Like this was a shtick that you did.
Right.
You know?
Like that was in the set list somehow. Had to make time for that to happen.
Right, yeah. Like, all right, so like,
Jesus.
Right after Hard Lives and Sunken Cheeks, but before I'm broken, that's when I'm gonna talk about how you should have pride in whatever you fucking do, man, but don't blame shit on any other people. And like on the
don't blame shit on any other people, but also write a whole album about how everyone else is fucking garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Boy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Cause you ain't got the balls, son.
All right.
Man. Listen. I picked this song for one of my 3 to pick for this fucking thing.
Right. Right.
Good lord, are these lyrics garbage? Like I'm not at any point defending any of this shit.
Yeah. That you think you won't.
Ooh, that's
you have that
attitude.
smart ass attitude. It's time to stop the fiction. See, that's the thing, man. Like, I'm allowed to criticize this, all right? Because this shit's in my fucking bones. Okay?
Right.
Like, I didn't learn about this record and be like, I'm not, you know, like, oh, let's cancel fucking Phil Anselmo. Like, I think that's not what this is going on here, man. Like, this is a piece of art that worked its way into the fabric of my fucking being. And then you show your fucking ass doing all this racist bullshit on stage, and now I have to interrogate that same part of myself.
Yes. Okay.
So, yeah, man. Don't come at me, motherfuckers. Or come at me. I don't fucking care.
Whatever.
So, but yeah, all right. I think I've said my piece. I think I've been very clear. So let's talk about some of the shit we fucking love about this record. Here's something, okay? Okay, because I've just been specifically ripping on Phil right now, okay? So the other side of this coin is one of the things that makes Phil one of the best fucking frontmen that I've ever seen. Because he had frontmans.
It works.
Because he, for better or worse, has like the confidence to fucking speak his mind and like be real with this fucking audience, okay? So I'm gonna tell you a few stories of seeing Phil do this.
Okay.
For better or worse. So one was the very first time that I saw Pantera. I've told a piece of this story before on the podcast, but fuck it. So it was July of 1996. Pantera, Great Southern Trendco came out in May of 96. Load came out in June of 96. I thought both records were amazing until I saw Pantera live in July. This was my first concert I'd ever seen, and somewhere about halfway between fucking Pantera, you know, Phil said, you know, and like, this is the thing, like, it was White Zombie and Pantera.
Right.
And the only lights that Pantera used for that show were just fucking white fucking lights. The balls. Like, just to be a contrast to White Zombie, right?
Right.
Like, it was just so bare fucking bones. It was just those fucking dudes.
White Zombie known for like an amazingly intricate, elaborate stage show.
Right. And Pantera just came out with fucking like white lights on the stage and just decimated.
Right.
But somewhere about halfway between, like, Phil says, like, y'all are lucky to have a fucking band like Pantera that's gonna wave the heavy metal flag and make a kick-ass fucking record like we did instead of that fucking bullshit like Load. And like the whole crowd, I was shocked because I'm like 12. And I'm like, but man, like, poor twisted me. Hey, you know. Gotta have the sickness because everyone seems to need the cure. Like, I was like, I like all of it. But in that moment, Phil said that, the rallying cry, in that instant, I was like, he's right.
Right.
Load fucking sucks. Boo! You know.
Oh, you turned on Load.
Instantly. Because Phil was able to do that thing where he just was able to feel like, it was like, oh, this is just a dude, like,
Just speaking his mind, man.
It's like, you know, when
He's just saying what everyone thinks.
he's just in this, you know, like, you're at a party, you know, you're hanging out, you're jamming Sabbath tunes in a fucking trailer, and in between, some dude just has some shit on his heart that he has to fucking let out. And Phil was able to do that in front of like 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was about like a record that he didn't like, that he, like, as a fan didn't like. And sometimes it was about black people. Here's another one.
Yep.
Here's another one. This one is better. This one's good. This is a casualty-free one.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take it.
I went and saw Down at the Meridian sometime in like 2009 or some shit.
Okay.
And it's like halfway through the set, everyone's a little tired because of how everyone's exhausted by how amazing Down is. And Phil was like, all right, Houston, let me hear you. And people are like, yeah.
It's like half falling over and
Yeah, because people fucking tired, man. And it's like that
drunk
weird,
and so tired. Yeah.
that weird like middle part of the set before you're like having your like second wind, before you're having your rally.
Yeah.
You know,
They're still like coming out of the first part of the set and they haven't hit that next crescendo yet.
right. It's like, dude, play Stow the Crow. Shut the fuck up. Like, here we go. You're like, and so Phil was like, Houston, is that all you got? Let me hear you. And people were like, yeah. And like, he didn't get much more. And he's like, all right. Houston, I want to hear you be as quiet as possible. On 3. 1, you heard me. As fucking quiet as possible. 1, 2, I want to hear a fucking thing. 1, 2, 3. Yeah! You know what, Houston? I respect that. This was called Pillars of Eternity. You know,
You work with what you're given. at that point.
or whatever it was, man. And it's like, So that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That's like one of the most amazing things I've ever seen someone say at a concert.
That's very good.
It's so fucking good,
It's
right?
really good.
So don't all that shit I'm giving you is coming from a place of love.
There are so many good things there. And then there have to be these shitty things about it.
If I didn't love you, I wouldn't come at you. I wouldn't interrogate these things. But I respect the legacy, and I gotta deal with all of it.
Yep.
So all right, man.
You can't pick and choose.
So let's talk about some shit that we love about this record.
I mean, let's just talk about fucking Hostile for a second here, if you will.
Almost every day, I see the same old face.
Like, god damn, man. It's still on the same tip lyrically, but like, that song is fucking incredible.
Is there a more precise and ferocious song?
Nah, probably not.
Yeah.
Precise is a good word for it. It's they talk about that in the interview as well, like how tight they had to get for that song to even happen,
Right.
to even work, because
Right.
you couldn't fuck that up. You couldn't fudge that song.
Right. And like that's again another sort of thing that's like so crazy about Dime, you know, and like play because they in that interview they talk about it being like almost like an agnostic front song.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And Dime like and that's the thing too, is like that song is like it's not that fast. Right? I think it's in like the 190 range. But it's not like yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. There you go. Maybe brushing up against 200, yeah.
I think it's pretty. I think it's in the 180 to 190 range. I think, you know, whatever.
But it's pretty fast. It's fast enough to where if you're that precise, it's fucking hard to do.
Yeah. But it's not like it doesn't get into that like Slayer range where you can like just go for it, and people will respect the effort.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, and it's so goddamn unique. I do feel like that song. This is the thing. As much shit as I might want to talk about, like the second half, not even really the second half of this record, because I love Hollow and I love By Demons Be Driven.
Yeah.
And on second listen, man, second re-listen, like Rise is pretty solid as well. But the first 5 tracks on this record are the cornerstone of Pantera's career. And I don't think anyone will disagree with that.
I think you're right.
The first 5 songs on this record is what made this fucking band. I don't think
there's any disputing that, honestly.
Right, like though the first 5 songs on the side A Kings, fucking Pantera right here, Abbott's and company.
I mean, Phil wrote the fucking Mouth for War intro riff. Apparently, I forgot about that.
Yeah. We forget that like Phil ain't the most shabby guitar player.
Yeah. As he said in that interview, I brought it to the band. I was like, tick it, and then Dime turned it into. Yeah.
It's such a great description.
God.
Good. And fucking like Phil's talking about like his grip on the fucking, you know what I mean?
They both mentioned that, yeah.
I don't know what that fucking means, man, but I sure loved hearing those guys talk about it. That's another thing, man. Like speaking of that interview, man, it was also like so clear, like how much love. It just makes it so tragic the way that everything shook out because of. It's so clear, it's obvious, like you can feel it, like how much love those two dudes have for both Dime and Vince.
Yeah, I mean, at one point the interviewer's like, "So do you guys have any like nice stories about Dime and Vince like on the road?"
Yeah, it feels like none.
Like, no, of course not. Of course we don't.
Not.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? You fucking kidding me?
Well, I just kind of wanted to prompt y'all to talk about them.
He was just like, I just like hearing about them, man. I just like hearing all the stories. Like, fucking course we do. Like, we got fucking.
It's like, what are you talking? Yeah, man. And like, and it's so shitty. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more in depth of like, at some point. But it sucks that Phil and Vince weren't able to like mend that relationship while Vinny was alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking sucks, man, because it's clear that those dudes had just nothing but love for each other.
Yeah.
That's like, to me, that's one of the biggest tragedies in the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking Hostile is goddamn legit. Mouth for War is like just a mission statement of a song.
Yeah. Like.
And there's also like such a weird, like subtle, brutal weirdness to that song, right? There's this weird, because I had to transcribe that song a few years ago because a friend of mine wanted to jam on it, and like the getting into the verse, because those hits are on upbeats. That's what's so weird about them. No. So here's what I'm talking about. Like that. Like that. Like the revenge.
Oh, those. Okay.
Like, because like there's space in there is long enough to where like your like internal clock resets, and so you want to hear it as like revenge. Like you want to hear it on the downbeat, but it's not. It's on the upbeat. Like it's revenge.
That's why it's so confusing to hear. Yeah.
It's so like disorienting, right? I like went and listened to like so many different versions of it before I like was able to fucking figure that out. I'm like, are they doing like a measure of 7? Or some like weird shit. But no, man, like those big hits are like on like E's and Uhs, like and it's just like sort of an example of like that way that Pantera was able to weave in this sort of like subtle, very intricate technicality.
Yes.
Like shit that you would think like, oh, that's only going to be in a Rush song. It's not going to be in this fucking like dirty ass fucking Dope Smoker Band song.
That was down. It became Pantera. Yeah, absolutely, yes.
So, New Level. I know that you like, faux pas this song a little bit, but like to me, like, and it happens on Rise too. Like, I don't know what the fuck Vinny's doing in like the fucking verse of New Level, because there's like, okay, so do you remember like on like the Saint Anger album? I don't know last time you listened to that,
go ahead.
But like, there's like a lot of like but there's like these big kick notes. Like there's like all this like small kick, like, like these accented kick notes that stand out really big. And it sounds like there's all this other like bass drum notes in there. But then he comes in with like other shit and it's like, well, no, man, I guess he wasn't playing all that double bass. Maybe it's like the bass tone. And I don't know what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man.
Okay.
But it's confusing to me. This is something that I noticed about New Level. So maybe this might change your opinion about it.
Okay.
So you can really hear how they leave space for each other. So a lot of these riffs, like they wouldn't be cool riffs or they wouldn't work without the way that Phil does vocals on top of them. So I think that's another thing that's sort of like, and I mean, it's true for Walk as well, of what is the genius of Pantera, of being able to take like one thing, one little tiny thing, recognize that it's catchy, and then have the skill as songwriters to build an entire song around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
because they very clearly make that a point. Again, in that interview, they make it a point to say they were very keen on catching what was catchy about something and making that into like a groovy, heavy thing. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Walk.
Yeah, walk again. Walk. Going back to that, like that's just a thing that I just can't. I can't take at face value anymore. It's just
hard,
it's gone.
right?
It's too far gone now, right? Like I know it. I've known it for my entire fucking life. It feels like,
yeah.
and that's bit like if I had to give you the prototypical Pantera song, it's Walk.
Right. Yeah.
That anyone would give you.
Right.
That anyone can relate to. It's Walk.
We've been going for like almost 3.5 hours, so I wanted to save it.
Terrified, petrified, mortified.
Mortified,
stupefied by you. Yeah. Anyway, Walk is just like something that I can't even think about anymore without. It's just one of those things that's in there.
You know, man, that's fair. When I can kind of like listen to it a little bit. So it's one of the things I noticed trying to listen to it critically.
Yeah.
This time was how every single drum hit is of utmost consequence.
It's make or break.
Every
time.
In that fucking song. Like,
I mean, that song specifically, like, yeah.
Right.
Sure.
It is just...
There's so little going on in that song that, yeah.
Right. It shows the mastery to me. And I think that's a thing about that song. Like, why that is a signature Pantera song is because no other fucking band can make that song fucking work.
Fair. Yeah, probably so.
And any other time that another band makes that song work, it's because we remember how, like, oh, you remind me of how Pantera made that work.
No, totally. Again, that interview, they talk about this shit, but I've heard people, like, do covers of the song, and it just doesn't work the same way.
Right.
Because they're missing something.
As Machine Head, one of my favorite fucking band, I think one of your favorite bands as well, they do an amazing cover of Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Mm-hmm.
They do an amazing cover of Battery.
Yeah.
Holy shit. What a hard fucking song to try and cover. They do an amazing version of it. Their version of fucking Hostile?
Ooh.
Doesn't quite cut the mustard.
Didn't they play that live when we saw it once?
Maybe. I really have no idea.
Okay.
If they played it live, I bet it sounded amazing then. But just like, you know, but there is a version floating around out there that they released on some B-side or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't capture that thing, man, because goddamn, man, Pan-fucking-Tera.
Yeah, like I'm not surprised that it doesn't. I'm never shocked that a Pantera cover doesn't live up to what I expected to, you know?
Right.
So, and I guess that alone is testament to how important and amazing they are.
Right. We talked about fucking Hostile already. I love This Love.
So I love This Love. Yeah.
I love This Love.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really great everything arrangement, like decisions to do the breakdowns. The clean riff is so. It's another like weird riff.
Yeah,
it's a really weird thing.
I don't know what is that the riff you're talking about?
The clean, the intro.
Oh.
It's just a weird riff.
Right. You got the fucking like.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
What do you call that?
It's kielbasa.
Kielbasa. Okay.
My kielbasa sausage has just got to perform. Different.
We could do an entire Tenacious D episode, probably.
No, man, I fucking hate those guys.
Really?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay. Well, one way or the other, we could do an episode, probably.
There's good energy there. Yeah, so like I really, really love that song. I wrote down like that 250 and 450 riff. So that's what I was talking about earlier, like those post-chorus riffs, you know, and then you know, I mean, it's. I feel like that song right there might be one of the big North Stars that I think we as All Severed were sort of not necessarily intentionally, but I think almost subconscious. Like I think of like the song Again. Mm-hmm. And this idea of like you have a chorus, right? But you have these very different ways of getting out of that chorus. And to me, This Love is the perfect template for how you that is possible. To make a great song that has a catchy chorus that you get to a number of times, but that isn't just verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro.
Right.
That is like a, A, B, C, like A, B, C, B, C, D, E, F, G, C, H, I, J.
I lost track, but I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I think you're probably right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
And then every time the solo comes in, I always think of the video, like with the fucking like smoke machine in the hand.
Yeah. The actual music video. Yeah.
The hand. Wow. Yes.
If there's one thing I'm going to knock Pantera for, it's their music videos, except for 5 Minutes Alone, which is maybe the best video of all time.
Fuck that. No, dude, man. I'm Broken is the best video of all fucking time.
It's all right.
It is the standard. It is like, let's just have some fucking dudes in a room playing their fucking music. But like,
It is that.
but for I'm Broken, they do it for real.
They do it for real.
And then every other band for like 30 goddamn years later, man. Like, it's like, no, dude, this is find a fucking room and let's just have like, we'll just metal.
Have the one light bulb hanging down.
Yeah, we'll just do metal in a room.
That's true.
Man, it doesn't fucking work.
That's true. But 5 Minutes Alone, man, they got those fucking high def cameras like on and the strings fucking
Get out of the shot!
The strings
Out
fucking
of the
pin down.
shot!
Yeah. They're in like a fucking they're like a shipping container, like the back of a fucking moving truck or some shit.
Let's go!
Oh no!
Oh, boy.
Let's fucking go for real, yeah. Oh,
That happened.
that's fine.
You don't know that it's fine.
It's resilient. It's a bass. Got those thick strings.
Dude, you got me all fucking amped up thinking about like behind the scenes footage.
Oh man. Anyway, Pantera not great at music videos, but pretty good sometimes.
Man, I don't. I think I gotta like. I think that I gotta say a hard no.
Okay.
To you on that, because
Okay.
I bet if we watched other fucking music videos that were going on at the time, we'd be like, dude, these videos are the best fucking things we've ever fucking seen.
I'm gonna go both ways. There were a lot of shitty music videos out there, but there are also a lot of the ones I really like.
My bass is okay.
Your bases,
Or belong to us.
all your bass. It's not. It didn't crack in half. I think it's probably all right.
Fair enough.
Is there a chip on the headstock up there?
That's character.
Fair
That's
enough.
character.
Fair enough. Battle damage.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, This Love's a great song.
So yeah, we're on to the second half of the album, which is maybe less so. But
Which is like, I think it's great because like they know in that interview.
they did know. Yeah, they said that. So they said as much.
They're like, what songs did you play live? Well, like the fucking first 5, obviously.
They literally said
We literally, like, you asshole, we literally have to play those every fucking time.
It took them like 5 minutes of rambling song titles to remember that Rise was on the first side of the cassette. Oh boy.
So shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, I can't make heads or tails of the lyrics on Rise, but, and again, I don't know what the fuck Ben is doing on his bass drums in those fucking thrash parts. But I think I think Rise is a strong fucking song, though.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think the riffs and the songwriting and the hooks and everything on No Good are really great.
The next few songs, like the riffs are incredible.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they have going on. The incredible riffage, some great like some great groove.
Yeah,
here
there's
and
some
there.
good hooks.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just something. There is something missing. But it's like whenever the first 5 tracks are what they are on this record, like I mean, dude, like it's no insult to say that there's something missing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And on Live in a Hole, so something that I did notice on this that I really liked was there's like kind of like I feel like you hear like the first like a hint of the like the real low vocals, like with not just like, medicine man.
You ain't got the balls, son.
Yeah, like not that, but like the my fear grips. Like or like
that far
my,
beyond driven.
Yeah,
voice.
like my grip fears the will of stone. My grip fears I'll die alone. Like that right there. Like you're getting like, okay. Like I feel like you're starting to get a little bit of that like death metal influence in. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And like low and aggressive.
Okay.
Like not just like low as like almost like a novelty, like it is on Medicine Man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's great. Like I'm not knocking Medicine Man, right? But
Yeah.
you're getting like that I feel, and so like that was something that I put on. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty fucking cool. But yeah, Live in a Hole. I felt the arrangement was weak. I can't like pinpoint and say like, oh, you should have, because who the fuck am I? Be like, oh guys, you need to take that post bridge and cut a few beats off of that like secondary post bridge chorus.
In the entirety of the second part of this album is like them going back and forth between ideas that don't always flow all that well.
That's the best way to say it.
It's kind of
man.
how I feel about it.
Yeah. That's why.
There are great things about it, but they just don't always flow that well.
That's yeah, man. Yeah. Like each part you put individually, like that's cooler as shit.
Yes.
But there's something about the connective tissue that doesn't quite stand up to the high standard that they've set.
Yeah.
Right? Like if this was any other band, it would be great, right?
Yeah.
But and then also like the solo on Regular People, you can see where it's like I feel like this is maybe like one of the first like experimental solos, like where Dime is like I'm just gonna do some weird shit.
Pretty much, yeah. Which you saw a lot of on the next album.
Yeah.
You're right. This is one of the first times you really see that kind of thing.
And then again, man, like I said, anytime you do that fucking super skank shit, like like they do that on the outro of this song.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it. And
Hell yeah.
I'm here for it.
God, that fucking chorus is so groovy though.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's good.
So good.
It's good, man. It's nice.
So the riff to By Demons Be Driven. It's a hell of a riff.
Wow.
So good.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I love this song, man. And then like the vocals too. Like it's like, oh, this is where Phil's gonna go.
Yeah.
Like you get that vibe too.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, love this song.
Yep.
Hollow. So I put this as one of my fave tracks.
Yes.
I unironically love this song, and this might be the only Pantera song that like makes me emotional. Like that isn't just like this fucking rips, man. But
An emotion besides like awesome. Dude.
Yeah.
Sure.
But like makes me tear up, like listening to it, it makes me tear up, and it might be like but like I still think about Pickett. I still think about Jeremy Pickett.
I was going to bring that up as asking if that was the case, and I understand that.
And
I understand.
So I mean, I love the song because the song's like actually about a thing. So
on this album, you take what you can get. Really. But yes, cool.
And it's a sad story, but it is about a thing, and it is a thing that isn't so crazy that you can't relate to.
Should we expound on that at all?
Well, I mean, like, it's about like a friend that's in a coma.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, that's not like, it's a sad story, but it's not so crazy that you can't imagine it happening.
Right. Exactly.
Like, you can imagine that happening to you.
It's quite relatable. Yeah.
You know, you can imagine. It's like, oh yeah, like I'm sure I know someone that this has happened to. You know.
Yeah.
And so it has like, and so like there's like something that's really like about the tenderness, about the emotional, about this like the sensitivity of it, the heartfelt, the sincerity of it, but then also like the anger, like the, you know, mad at God. Like, it's like, dude, anytime you fucking say mad at God, I'm gonna be here for it.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Agreed. At the same time, saying mad at God is just like, okay.
it's because you're a heartless piece of shit, Robert.
I am.
It's because you don't feel things.
That's why I'm mad at God, because he didn't give me a heart.
This is, yeah, man. This is why we always referred to the Tao of Robert, because you didn't give a shit about anything.
Well, so yeah. Anyway,
but yeah, no, man, I love this song. I love and
yes.
like the transition. The
yes, incredible transition.
Oh, he is hollow as I. Oh, dude, makes me want to fucking like fight.
They talked about this in the interview quite a bit. How that outro came together, and I wasn't quite clear on what they meant by the outro. I guess.
Sure,
you know,
to me,
because there's like three different things they could mean, really.
To me, the outro is to me is the outro is like, I guess, like the second half of the song.
Okay.
To me, is the outro is like everything
once it becomes heavy, basically.
Yes.
That could be the case, yeah.
To me. And like, there's just so many like cool ass tiny elements there of just like the guitar thing that Dime does that's like just for a second that sounds like it's a part of a solo, but it's just right there on the downbeat when everything fucking comes in. It's just goddamn genius.
Yep.
It makes me so excited. Yeah, man. And so like that was the thing that was honest. It was really surprising and just so great. But like, the song Hollow, like it still like really does it for me.
Sure.
Like it still like gets me fucking going, you know. And that's why I like had to include it.
Yeah. No hate from here.
So
the biggest overall takeaway from this album definitely though is the vibe of this album, the tone,
sure,
that they struck on this album,
right,
like immaculate. Like it's so fucking powerful.
That's a valid point.
And they really nailed it, and they took it forward into their other albums, like because it's still there on Far Beyond Driven.
Right. There's a permutation. Like Far Beyond Driven's a little dirtier.
Yeah, but this going from Cowboys from Hell to this album. It's almost like they found what they wanted the whole time in a weird way.
Right, yeah. So as much as I like, you know, we might shit on the lyrical direction or like, some of these arrangements aren't quite up to snuff with the other things. You know, this does feel like this is like where they tap the vein, you know.
It feels like they came into their own, yeah.
Where they like figured out what they were gonna fucking do, and
pretty much,
yeah. And like again, like, so yeah, I guess like the thing that is like if you go back to that thing like production, songwriting, performances, technicality, lyrics, vibe. We've talked about all that. The only thing that really is like a little meh or not as consistent throughout, I guess, is the songwriting.
Yeah,
that's like the only thing. And again, this is very subtle. We're talking about the difference between like 100% and like 90. You know what I mean? Like there aren't any like total You know, the only reason that, you know, like a song like Live in a Hole doesn't seem like the best fucking song ever written is because it's on an album with Mouth for War and fucking Hostile and This Love.
Yeah.
You know. So
Yep.
all right, let's consult. Let's go to the phones.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right.
What did the audience have to say about this?
All right, so Jet. Let's see. Oh, man. He said, Hollow is the worst song by far.
Damn.
It's very refreshing because in so many ways, Jet and I are almost the same fucking person. So
But in some ways, you're like
for
diametrically
there
opposed.
to be a hard pivot, it was like, oh, good. It's good to know. It's good to know that exists.
Good to know the universe still has a sense of humor.
Right. He's like, but to be honest, as an older guy, Vulgar Display of Power is not my cup of tea in comparison to the first album.
Vindication as well.
Living in a hole.
Living in a hole.
It says living a hole. It's probably some voice to text while he's driving to work. Living a hole is also not very good. Never mind. Just got past the intro. Faves are, here we go.
Okay.
New Level.
Okay.
So fuck you, Robert Riggle.
Fuck me. That's fine.
By Demons Be Driven. Okay.
Can't
And Mouth
argue.
for War. So I think undisputed, Mouth for War, right?
They put it number one for a reason. Like Pantera knew how to construct their fucking albums, if nothing else.
Track 1, the Side A Kings, baby.
Cowboys from Hell, Mouth for War.
Right.
Fuck, man.
I thought this was interesting too, is right, like, upon revisitation though, I definitely find it to be a much weaker album than Cowboys from Hell for me. So he kind of is like, you know, same age as us, is kind of echoing the same sentiment of like, this is great. Like Vulgar is great and amazing and has like its amazing moments, but I just don't enjoy listening to it as much as a 38-year-old man.
Totally. Absolutely.
All right, now let's talk to Shay, who's a little older.
What was his shit out? His shit song?
Oh, well,
Did
you
he give
know,
one?
Hollow.
Oh, Hollow, sure.
Or Live in a Hole.
Right.
Which is
It's
amazing.
the worst song by far.
Because Hollow is one of my essentials. Live in a Hole is one of your essentials.
No, it wasn't one of mine.
It wasn't?
It wasn't.
What was?
Regular
People?
Mouth for War, fucking Hostile, and Regular People.
Oh, okay. Man, see, I can't keep all that. I can't, dude, fucking 7, 8, 9, man. I can't keep that shit
it's fine.
straight, man.
Anyway.
All right, Shay, who's
Shay.
a little older. Essential tracks. Number 1, Walk.
I can't argue with it.
You can't argue. Yeah, it's just
I'm not gonna agree, but I can't dismiss it.
It's not like my favorite to listen to, but it's so much of like the ethos that it's like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like. You can't like really like Pantera doesn't really. You can't tell the Pantera story without that song.
I'm not gonna say you're wrong.
So,
No.
But I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it again.
I've heard it so many times.
You know, like I could like we could fucking acapella do the whole fucking thing right now. We're not.
We're not.
We're not.
I'm not.
Number 2, essential track for our friend Shay. Number 2, fucking Hostile.
Fucking A.
There you go.
Fucking A. Fucking Hostile.
Number 3, by Demons Be Driven.
Nice.
So this is great. Shay and I did not have a single
Single thing in common.
single one in common. This is great though. This is a different perspective than us. This is a different perspective coming in hot. And I think Shay's perspective is really interesting, really valuable because he's already had his musical identity for 10 years when this fucking album comes out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's been in bands, he's written songs, you know, and so he's got a totally different mindset and perspective on this. He says, all in all, it's one of the most perfect sophomore albums of all time. He's like, I count Cowboys from Hell as their debut since they kind of rebooted with Phil on that record.
True.
It shares enough in common with Cowboys from Hell, but leans towards the chugginess of Far Beyond Driven.
True.
Perfect halfway point.
That's a great point.
Trash track. This Love. God damn, I hate that song.
Wow. Did not expect
Fucking
that.
hot take Cotter.
Did not expect that, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, I imagine it's similar to sort of how we feel about Cemetery Gates.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Yeah.
So,
You know, on some level, it's an amazing composition, but like, fuck that song.
I am so, yeah, but I'm like
Just got done with
goddamn
it.
tired of hearing
Yeah,
it, and
sure.
I'm goddamn tired of people telling me it's the best fucking song. You know what you keep this? You know what you keep this fucking stupid song.
Keep this fucking track. Oh boy.
So,
I like that. Good shit. Good shit all around.
yeah, man. Yeah, I think that's it.
We had a lot to say about the first 2 Pantera albums, apparently,
First 2.
and there are more to come.
Yeah, man. We got other records to talk about. We
Boy.
got home videos to talk about. We got live records. We're gonna talk about NOLA.
Side projects to talk about.
Yeah, man. And then we'll talk. Maybe we might talk about fucking Damage Plan. Hell yeah.
I don't really care.
I'm gonna make you. You know what? I have some love for that Damage Plan record. I'm gonna make you listen to the highlights.
When did that album come out?
03.
Okay, I haven't listened to it probably since it came out. So
Yeah.
so I'm more than willing to listen to it again.
It's still in that CD era where it's like we gotta take up the whole 70 minutes. So there's some songs on there that you could, all right, cool. You don't need that one. But there's some songs in there that's like, this is fucking great.
Cool. Okay.
Interesting thing about that record. None of the Pantera records were done to a click track.
Oh.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? You hear that? Kittens and cats. You hear that, children? None of the Pantera records were done to a click track.
What was the Damage Plan?
It was.
It was. Okay.
It was the first record that Vinny did do a click track.
Okay.
How about that shit?
Keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. So if you ever are like, why does this Damage Plan record suck? It's not because Rex Brown isn't there. It's not because Phil Anselmo. It's not because you're trying to restart something without the 15 or 20 years of chemistry that you've built up with some other people.
Sure, couldn't be that.
Could not be that. It's because of the click track. All right. That's it.
Where's the lip button?
Woo!
Jesus Christ, 3.5 hours.
I felt like we worked hard to keep the beginning short too.
I don't know. I forgot. It's been so long.
You're like that was another goddamn day.
That was yesterday, man. I don't know. What the fuck you talking about?
Oh
Holy shit.
Oh, that was good.
That was good.
That's so good. Save that shit. I'm gonna go inside and watch more fucking Undertaker documentaries to try to wind down.
What? Documentaries?
Yeah, man, it's a really good documentary series called The Undertaker Last Ride.
Because the Undertaker as a person is like pretty fascinating.
Dude, I found out that motherfucker lives like where my father-in-law lives.
Yeah, he's from Texas.
But like he lived like when they show
Still
like
lives here.
his like training sections, it's like Lakeway CrossFit. I'm like, wait a minute, I've driven by that.
Oh,
to
shit.
go see my fucking father-in-law.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I've seen him, a lot of interviews with him, a lot of him just like talking about shit. He seems like an awesome dude.
Yeah, man, he's just seems like a straight up fucking dude. So, but yeah, like I don't really enjoy watching wrestling matches,
No, totally.
but I really like wrestling documentaries.
Totally. Yes.
Like, just give me the story, like right into my vein.
But also, he's a very specifically interesting dude in that because he's been in it for so long and he's so respected
Yeah,
and he's so good at what he does.
it's so unique. It's such a unique.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah. I love listening to him and to Mick Foley talk about shit.
Sure.
Also fantastic. Yeah, let's put that in there. Goddamn electric.
I have a feeling we're gonna get to readmitting this film and be like, you know what, man, this is way better. Let's side B of Vulgar.
No, I hope. Oh,
You know that's what's coming, motherfucker.
I hope God, but man, I won't put anything. I will not write off anything.
I know that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna be like, dude.
You want to bring this chair in, by the way?
Huh?
You want to bring this chair in? Or...
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, we're gonna get there and I'm gonna be like, this is so much more fun to listen to than fucking.
More fun? I would absolutely agree with that already.
You're like, but better.
Because just like.
It's not fun.
If there's one thing vulgar display is not, it's fun.
Yeah, that's it.
I feel like we touched on that, but like.
Did we turn the cameras off?
Did
We did not. Oh, that's good, man. Because then hopefully they would have caught that. Like, if there's one thing vulgar isn't, it's fun. Shit.